start us off then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, it's my responsibility, is it?
Yeah, it's your channel.
Is it?
I only get called in when it's too much research.
See, I knew you weren't going to talk into that microphone. That's why you don't get called in, because you can't talk into... You're Andrew Huberman in the mic. Come on, Andrew. I am a massive, massive fan, but you got to talk into your mic, my friend. I bet it was driving Lex Fridman insane every time he was going past the microphone there and talking into... I was like, dude, talk into your microphone. You got to. Okay. Are we starting now, yeah? Are we rolling?
Rolling.
Hello, everybody. Which camera am I looking at? These three cameras confuse me too much. Here we go. That one. Main one. One of those two. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outlaw Picks podcast. Today, we are discussing UFC 282, which is the last pay-per-view of the year. It's a very good card. Lots of good fights to look forward to. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All full of beans.
All full of beans.
On a Sunday lunchtime, ready to talk about some fights. We haven't even watched the fights from last night yet, so we can't talk to you about them.
Yeah, sorry.
We've been cramming the research in for this. So before we start, a quick shout out to our two sponsors for the episode, NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/outlawed, outlawed with the ED. You'll get a massive discount off your NordVPN plan. You'll get a free month. You'll get a free gift, and it's a risk-free deal because you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. You, of course, using NordVPN next week when you're traveling away.
Yep.
We travel a lot, of course. We need NordVPN. We need to protect our internet access, and so do you guys out there. So get on nordvpn.com/outlawed, and you'll get a great deal. And NordVPN is awesome. I mean, the other thing as well, you can double your encryption with NordVPN, which is very useful. And of course, you know, if you've got subscriptions that you can't access from different countries, you can use a VPN to get around geo-blocking, which is very, very useful. It gives you protection. It gives you freedom to access your content. And the other thing as well is you can it either clicks with one button and it's on and you're protected, or you can have it on auto, which is good because I sometimes forget when I'm traveling to switch my VPN on. So make sure you start using the auto feature because it saves me a bit of thinking time. So yes, the code is outlawed, nordvpn.com/outlawed. And our other sponsors, AG1, Athletic Greens. Love this stuff. So, go to athleticgreens.com/outlawed, and this is basically what you need in your life because you don't want to be going through the process of finding all the different supplements and vitamins and trying to get the dosages right and stuff. What you need is a scoop of this. And I do appreciate this as well. How many of those plastic scoops do you have laying around after your supplements that are over? This one stays with you. So this is what I use most of the time because the convenience of them, especially when traveling. You get your little sachet, you mix it into your AG1 bottle, you give it a shake up, have that first thing in the morning, and that will give you your coverage of 75 minerals and vitamins and adaptogens and probiotics, of course, very, very important. And the one other thing that's important, especially given the fact that it is very much winter in England and it is across Europe, you'll get your D3 and K2. Everybody needs to make sure they're getting enough D3 and K2 in their diet to keep their immune system up. So along with Athletic Greens, you get your scoop every day, keeps you sorted. You can even go up to 2 scoops. Andrew Huberman's on 2 scoops. I think that's why his brain's growing at twice the size of mine. So you can have 1 or 2 scoops a day, or you've got your sachets for when you're traveling, and then you've got your D3K2 to add in as well. Great for gut health, central nervous system, immune system, which of course is important this time of year. It will improve your sleep and your mental clarity as well. And we had some of this and went running a few days ago, didn't we? And it's like I'm in a wind tunnel doing that Dumb and Dumber scene where if you move your arms really fast, feels like you're running at an incredible pace. I actually felt like that. I was struggling to keep up with you the other day running, in fact. It's good stuff. Make sure you get some of this. And you know we love hardware. It's all good metal stuff. Like it. It lasts.
Good quality. Everything's great quality.
Everything's good quality. It's really, really good stuff. So to make it easier, go to Athletic Greens and they're going to give you a 1-year free supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/outlawed. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/outlawed to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I love that last line.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right?
Yeah,
I think about it every
nice.
time I'm putting a scoop in. I'm like, nutritional insurance. Keeps me covered. Although you keep my diet very varied as well, which I appreciate. I'm just no good. See, you're traveling next week. I'm going to be living on AG1 next week.
Yeah, and beans on toast.
Well, you know.
I feel so bad when I go away
Please
because
don't.
you message me and you're just like, oh, I forgot to eat. But I did Athletic Greens in the morning.
Yeah.
And I've had beans on toast.
There you go.
For like the 3rd day straight. I'm just like, oh no, this boy.
Yeah. that is training camp diet, that is. That's everything I need. So we're going to talk about UFC 282 today.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the whole card from bottom to top.
From the Tapology because there's 3
From the
different...
Tapology because everyone's different. So you can be NordVPN because you're away traveling next week and you've got to protect your fancy new MacBook.
Do you know what I used it for, the NordVPN?
What's that?
So I wanted to buy my sister a gift, but she's living in America. And every time I would search up, it'd always take me to British websites.
Right.
So I just switched it to America and then I was able to find her something.
Nice.
She's like...
Vacation Orlando. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's useful for all kinds of things, but it's just... Like, especially when you're traveling with work, you don't know where in the world you're going and what the internet connection is going to be like, what your protection is going to be like. Lots of sensitive information on our electronic devices, so you got to make sure they're protected. So your symbol today is the NordVPN Mountain.
Yes.
Yes, and I found Hulk. You'll be glad to know I found Hulk, so I don't have to unwrap any of the ones on the walls. So I'll be AG1 today. Aging gracefully. That's what it stands for.
Is that why? Did you color coordinate with the beanie?
Well, you see, I have a
You did.
I have a trick to help me remember to take my Athletic Greens. You see, wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
I put my fancy green hat on. Stick one of these in the front, just there like that. And then every time I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you need to take your AG1. You need to take your AG1. So here I am, like a mad hatter.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
It works.
Yeah.
It's very suiting.
I've already
for
forgot
your
that
look.
it's there. And when I watch this back, I'm going to be like, you need to take your AG1.
I see.
There you go. It's a good reminder.
Very good reminder.
It's my green hat.
Yeah.
Always reminds me of Old School. I said that to Jamie a minute ago. Have you watched Old School? Will Ferrell? Proper cool, hilarious movie.
Old school.
We're streaking! Snoop!
I got into Will Ferrell like after I met you.
Okay.
If that makes it. I like Blades of Glory.
Okay, yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Great movie.
I watched it so many times. But the rest, I didn't.
Provocative.
Yeah.
Gets the people going.
I love that line. All right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch that movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, we're
You just
watching
look
it today.
crazy to me now.
We're watching it today. That's what
Okay.
we're going to do. We're going to watch Old School today. So yes, get yourself some of this. Get yourself some of that. Okay.
27 fight card.
Yeah. What is it? What we got? 14?
It was 13. And then, because it was 13 when the main event got canceled.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, well, at least 13. And then I checked the other day and it was like 14. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Because you finished your research and they were like, hang on a minute. Let's throw a
Here's
couple
some
more fights.
more.
Yeah. Good card, though.
Yeah.
Good card from bottom to top. OSP, second fight of the night.
That's crazy to me.
According to Tapology, at least, anyway. Although, yeah, you see, no, he's not second fight of the night on Wikipedia.
All right, but we're going off Tapology.
We're going
Let's
off
not confuse
Tapology.
these people.
We're going off Tapology.
Thanks for watching.
Okay.
That's not the end of it. I'm just saying, like, for now.
I was like, is that the end of the show?
Yeah,
That was super quick. Okay, so first fight of the night is Cameron Saaiman against Stephen Koslow.
Yes.
So this Cameron Saaiman kid looks very slick. He's trained by Dricus, isn't he? Who's obviously higher up on the card. They've got a couple of really cool documentaries And it's Dricus and Cameron, and they're kind of talking about how they first started training together, and like there's a photo of Cameron. He looks like he's like 13 or 14, and Dricus is standing there when he was fighting. I think he was fighting for EFC at the time. Seems like a very, very slick operator. Fast legs, moves well, very calculated, really lovely, like whipping kick to the outside lead leg.
Yeah, he mixes it in with the inside as well, and comes with the punches right after. Yeah, I really liked his performance. It reminds me of the picture that, have you seen Ankalaev with Tom Aspinall when they were like really young? It's like the South African version.
There's quite a few of those kind of photos now, though, isn't there? You know what I mean? Yeah. I've got one of me and Nogueira when I met him at ATT back in 2003. And he was about to spar, so I tied his gloves for him and got a photo. And then about 10 years later, I saw him at UFC London, and we got the same photo again. But obviously, we're both a bit more weathered looking. Although, for some reason, he doesn't really look that much different.
No, he's looked the same for many years.
It's odd. Okay, so Cameron Saaiman and Stephen Koslow are both 6-0.
Yes.
Both very exciting. This is going to be one of those fights that I think people are going to be talking about the performance one way or the other. Like, so Cameron Saaiman's a southpaw, fast kicks, moves well, clean single and double shots, not really overextending himself too much. Started kickboxing at 12. Stephen Koslow on the other side is far more of a grappler.
Yeah.
Far more of a grappler. What do you reckon to his nickname?
It's too long. I ain't gonna read that whole thing. A nickname is supposed to be like shortened. That's what for me a nickname is.
If he just drops the pillow off the end, that's the bit I don't get. His nickname is Obi-Wan Shinobi, which I like that. You've got a bit of Star Wars and a bit of ninjas coming together. Obi-Wan Shinobi.
Oh, Shinobi's that one that we talked about all the time that everybody's like, he's not even dead. What are you talking about? Like, he's dead. He's not that old.
You're pointing to where the poster used to be on the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, before we plastered comic books over.
Yeah, we've got Judge Dredd ceiling wallpaper now. So Obi-Wan Shinobi, but then the pillow. That's the bit I don't get.
It's probably because he does a lot of submissions and he puts you to sleep. I think that's where he was going with it. You didn't succeed, but it's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. But I was impressed with his grappling. There was a clip I was watching where he was ground and pounding somebody up against the fence in kind of like a loose side control position. And the guy sat up. Did you see it? The guy sat up and got his underhook. He overhooked it and stepped over into mount and then straight into a triangle and sat back and finished it.
He's been training at Fusion XL.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, so they have really great grapplers in that gym, so I expect him to just want to take the fight to the ground and submit his opponent, which is what he was talking about in an interview. This is apparently the third short notice offer he's gotten from the UFC. So the first one was Mario Bautista, but he said his weight was too high and you just couldn't do it. So then he tried to get lower because he knew that, it's just a matter of time before they call again for something like that. So let me be ready. And then the second time he agreed to the fight and he had canceled one that he had, but I don't know if it was like the UFC didn't end up agreeing to it. They might have offered it to different people and they went along with somebody else. So he didn't get it. So this is the third short notice fight because he found out about this 2 weeks ago because Cameron was the one that was initially due to fight in this card.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it looks like he was... so hang on a minute. So Cameron was due to fight Ronnie Lawrence. Yeah. And Lawrence has withdrawn. So then this Stephen Koslow was initially lined up to fight Martin Day. And then, so this... Oh no, that's on a different show. Combat Night Pro. Okay, so he's almost made his UFC debut a few times then.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Just hasn't because of, first time weight was too far away. Then he fixed that so he has like a closer weight to the fight, which I think will help him now anyway because, well, one, it's short notice, and two, it's always better if you're closer to the weight so you're not cutting so much. You don't know how you're going to rehydrate after or if there's any issues.
It also means that you're training more if your weight's down, usually, because people, to get weight off, generally don't just restrict their calories. They tend to exercise as well, which means by default, he's going to be a little bit more prepared.
Yeah. He said he's got a win over. His idol.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is crazy because I heard that he started with karate So I thought he was going to, gravitate towards strikers more, but he went the opposite way. And majority of his wins are by submissions, rear naked chokes, triangles, arm bars, and he has quite an extensive amateur record as well.
Yeah.
Only lost his
9-1.
I think 10-1.
10-1.
Yeah, only lost his amateur debut by split decision.
Yeah. Back in 2015. Rear naked chokes, guillotines, knee bar, kimura, triangle chokes, arm bars. And he's got a win over someone called Ginseng. Just thought that was interesting. I've never seen anybody called Ginseng before.
Isn't that like the thing you get in South Korea for the energy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I went to South Korea, I got like so many of them.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's pretty awesome.
It's a fun one to start the night off. I mean, it's a bit striker grappler, I think. I feel like Cameron Saaiman's going to be wanting to stay on the outside, keep switching his stance, keep working the legs of Koslow, and just try and avoid hitting the ground with him.
Yeah.
Not that Saaiman can't grapple, because I mean, anybody his age at this stage in mixed martial arts is
pretty slick grappler.
He's a pretty well-rounded fighter. I feel like he's young enough and smart enough, and especially in the interviews I've seen, he seems driven enough to go and get the training that he needs to round out his game. Got rear naked choke wins on his record, got ground and pound wins on his record, triangles and rear naked chokes. So he's got a win over a person called Gift. What is going on with that? Like, he's got 2 wins over Gift Walker and Rigard Berger.
Yeah.
I feel like
Swan
sometimes
people. Oh no, I didn't read
Swan
that.
people. I don't know.
People in the comments are like, "Why are they so bad at pronouncing names?" I don't really read it. I just kind of look at it and see what I want to see.
You just assume what it is. Yeah, I know.
What I like to see.
I think this is a fun fight to start the night off.
Yeah, it is. Two great prospects.
Yeah, I
wish they
wouldn't
wouldn't fighting each other.
Right.
Though they're just like two young guys, undefeated. Put them against not another young undefeated guy, because they market undefeated fighters so well. So you just kind of automatically cutting that off for one of them. Kind
of like they're doing for Raul Rosas, who's a couple of fights along the card.
Yeah.
Like, he's 6-0, but he's fighting Perrin, who's 10-6.
Yeah, exactly. Do something like that, I feel like would be better. But anyway, which way are you going?
I'm going to go with the kid Cameron Saaiman.
Yeah, I am as well.
Yeah. He seems like a very sharp individual. I mean, I couldn't find any interviews of Koslow, so I've not, I didn't find any interviews. I didn't look for any interviews of Koslow. I was just watching his fights. But when I saw that Saaiman was training with Duplessis, and I saw that those documentaries came up, I clicked on them and watched. And he just seems like a smart kid. He seems like he's got his head screwed on, like he's doing everything he can to increase his chances. And the fact that they've put him on this card along with Dricus is going to help him as well, because he's,
It's just not going to feel as alone and stuff. Because at 21, you're pretty... Yeah, you're just really young.
Yeah,
for UFC environment.
Yeah, definitely. And you need someone. You can see he's got a lot of faith in Duplessis as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to start the night off well.
Yeah. Quick, short rant type of thing. If you know you have an interview coming up and you're doing MMA, which camera am I looking at so I can look at it? Okay.
Which is your rant camera.
Yeah.
Rant on the bottom.
You know that you have an interview coming up, right? You schedule it with the person. Why are you outside in a car? Then just you have an interview coming, help yourself out, not this angle, up your nose. What's wrong with you?
Who is this?
Koslow.
Oh, okay.
The interview about no car.
Yeah.
It was just
I'm not clicking on interviews where I'm watching someone talk from down their nose.
It's just why?
I've seen too many of those interviews.
Try to look. You're fighting in a uniform. In a big organization. At least the interview's coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying get a whole podcast set up for it, but have some headphones.
Yeah.
And have your phone in a stable place where you're not outside. And what reception are you going to get?
Resting on your steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear
and a
you.
Brand.
I've seen too many of those interviews.
Yeah, I've done some of those interviews, and I'm just I honestly, I just want to stop them. I'm just like, I just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You ain't even ready for this.
It's not, the thing is as well, is even if you say something good, it's not going to be shared as much because it's not as sound biteable if it doesn't sound as clean or if the connection's not very good. Or...
Is that what you say? And you just like nod like you understand what they say, but they're like, they didn't cut off 8 times because they're outside. All right. And a rat, sorry.
Okay. So you're going with Saaiman as well, are you? We're both going with Cameron Saaiman.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So OSP second on the card.
That's crazy.
That is very strange. So, of course, Ovince Preux needs no introduction. He's taking on Antonio Trócoli.
My computer kept changing it to broccoli.
Yeah.
I just stayed broccoli. I'm just like 4th time. All right, that's good.
Yeah. He looks pretty good, Trócoli does. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the level that he's been fighting at necessarily. They don't look like world beaters. Like certainly the last guy he fought looked like a middleweight, really.
Yeah.
He did fight Kenneth Burr, but that was a no contest.
Why was it a no contest? I was trying to read why it was because he got the back and he got rear naked choke that was called a neck crank because he wasn't really under the chin. He just kind of like pushed it and won. But I don't know why it was a no contest. And I was trying to find it and I couldn't.
Oh, I'm not sure. If someone knows, leave it in the comments. I'm not sure. Maybe there was some kind of... Was there a clash of heads on the way down or something?
No, I didn't. It looked good to me. And then it got rescheduled. But no, not in Dana White Contender Series, in a different
Superior
show.
Challenge.
Yeah, but it said that he couldn't because of...
travel disruptions.
Yeah, I found that to be very strange.
He looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. I mean, I don't know whether stepping in against Lima against OSP for the first time's a good idea.
Yeah.
For your debut, I think it's a tough debut, especially because OSP doesn't really open up much. He doesn't give you opportunities to catch him too much because especially his last fight against Shogun. It's like he finds a kind of a comfortable rhythm where he can stop you doing anything, but he does not doing too much himself.
Yes.
Like loads of front kicks to the midsection and just frustrating stuff, and then you go sprinting into close distance, and you either end up getting caught with one of those crazy counter punches that he's got, or
a Von Flue
choke. Yeah, it's weird. I'm looking down this guy's record. He must have moved up weight classes because he's got wins over some. Yeah, he's got wins. He's got wins at welterweight.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I'm just looking down his record and recognizing some names. Like, so he's got a win over Wendell Oliveira, which was at welterweight. That was 2015. Then he fought Jacob Volkman, and Volkman's a small welterweight. And he fought Diego Lima at welterweight. So there's a point where all of a sudden middleweight, light heavyweight. Yeah, he went up weight pretty quickly.
Yeah. I like that overhook judo throw that he does. He does it like if his back's against the fence or if he has his opponent backed up against the fence. Really good overhook, and then he kind of just waits until you're not thinking about it and steps through with the leg and tosses you.
How do you think he matches up against OSP though?
I just think, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like his veteranness is going to show in this fight. Yeah. Maybe Antonio's coming in very explosive, great kicks, like lead head kick. He has a lead head kick KO.
So it's like seconds, isn't it?
Yeah. So like maybe he comes in as an explosive Johnny Walker type of thing, or he gets kind of shut down. Kind of like Johnny Walker did against Anderson. What's his name? The one that's like, there's levels to this. Then I went to Bellator.
Oh, Corey. Yeah.
Yeah, Corey Anderson. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think maybe we'll see something like that happen in this fight.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
I don't think Trócoli's wild enough
for something
like that. I think because he seems quite patient. He will switch his stance and stuff. What I am noticing, because looking at the stats, he has a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage over OSP.
Yeah, he's big. He's like over the fence.
How is he
of
welterweight
the
at 6'5"? That's crazy. So he's got height and reach advantage, but I don't think that makes too much of a difference in here because of the way OSP moves. He's just so DC said it in the commentary in the Shogun fight, and he's like, he lulls you into a sleep because you feel like he's not doing anything, and then you find yourself on the outside getting prodded and poked at, and you then need to close distance. Like that's, if you think of the two Shogun fights, that was the difference between the two. In the first one, Shogun closed the distance and ran straight onto a counter punch, and in the second one he didn't, and he ended up on the outside the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just...
OSP's just been in there so many times that he's just happy to do that. Like, he don't care.
Yeah. And if he gets caught in a guillotine, I'm never going to mention his name on the podcast again, in a Von Flue choke. Like that's... I don't know how people keep getting caught in them, especially if your opponent is known for Von Flue chokes. Like OSP won a fight by Von Flue choke, and then his next fight against Yushin Okami, he won by Von Flue choke again. I'm like... it's just... it's amazing. Although I was chatting to OSP a while back about it, and he says he's finding ways to like encourage people to put themselves in that position.
Yeah.
So like the excitement that Trócoli's coming in at, you know what I mean? UFC debut, grabs hold of
pay-per-view fight against OSP.
Yeah. Grabs hold of OSP's neck, you know.
I'm going to go for OSP.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe if I see Trócoli, you know, like do a really good performance, I could be kind of a bit more behind him, but like I'm going for a safer pick in OSP.
I think it's just an odd fight for him to have his debut in.
Yes.
You know, like second fight of the night against OSP, who fought John Jones over 5 rounds.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like it's an odd place for OSP to be, but it's also an odd...
hard start.
Yeah, because I look at it's like the fight before though. Like sometimes I look at a matchup and I go, clever matchmakers. I see what they're doing here. Then other times I look at it and I'm like, are they just picking names out of a hat?
Well, OSP had 2 cancelled fights for this before. He was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson and then Philip Lins.
Yeah,
and then this fight came, so it was kind of just like. They might have gone through the division and not found anybody available and then signed somebody for it, because on the Dana White Contender Series it says that Antonio got the contract, but then he had a fight outside the UFC after in Brazilian Fighting Series 3
against that fat middleweight who he choked out like put him to sleep. And then sat there like, oh my goodness, do something for him. I think he might be dead. It just seems like an odd one to me. Like the first fight of the night seems odd because you've got 2 undefeated prospects that have got their careers ahead, and you're going to hand one of them a loss. And then you've got a guy. Then I don't know. I mean, like, are they trying to build Trócoli by giving him OSP? Because that seems like a risky thing to do. And if you want to build him and you're putting him against OSP, it make more sense to put them higher up the card. Because then you're matching Trócoli with the intention of him beating OSP and becoming a name fairly quickly. Like, are they thinking that about him? Or are they just thinking, we need an opponent for OSP. We'll pull that guy in because he used to be a welterweight.
I think that one.
Seems like an odd matchup. I'm going to go for OSP, but I think it's going to be that'll be the time for me to go and make a coffee, I think, if I'm honest. I'll come back and watch the highlights of that one. I get so frustrated with OSP's fights because he's another one of those fighters that I can tell he just doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to be there. He just never... I see too much of that from him. I'm like, dude, just fucking take it on the chin, man. It's not going to hurt. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like when he knocked out Patrick Cummins, like he knocked him out with that uppercut. He was like on one leg with his eyes closed. You know what I mean? It's like or like the first Shogun one. Where he was like batting a fly away as he fell off his skateboard. It was I don't know. Fair play to OSP. He's had an amazing amount of success in MMA, but he's never had a particularly enjoyable style for me to watch. Okay. But having said that, I think he's going to win this fight. Okay.
Next fight.
Jay Perrin against Raul Rojas Jr. Rough fight for Jay Perrin, do you think?
There's no J. Rosas.
Rosas.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Rojas. I think you're talking about like Marcelo Rojo.
Oh, there we go.
I think that might have been your confusion.
Yes.
But yes.
Rosas. Okay, so which way are you going on this one? Are you going Rosas?
Yes.
Okay. Why? How does he win?
Because
I think this is kind of matched up for him to win, isn't it?
I think so. But what I found with Jay Perrin, right? So he's a Muay Thai coach at Syndicate. Mm-hmm. For the last fight, he was training with Marab. We spoke about it on the previous podcast that we did. He was really motivated and has a really nice like lead body hook to step through and covers a lot of distance with his strikes. But I feel like he covers so much distance because he's far away.
Yeah.
Like on his last fight against, what was this guy's name? Pronounce it for me. Orichileng. He was just starting off the combination so far that it suited the taller fighter, which Raul is the taller fighter. So what Raul may have an issue with the striking, because he's a lot more grappling heavy, but he is very creative, like threw that flying knee into a double leg and then became like the systematic patterns to the back, to the Sulo stretch, to the figure four. And if he was on the back, he'd get a sweep. So I think, and if you look at the grappling matches Raul's had, he's had it, for example, I saw Gianni Grippo, and he trains, sorry if I said your name wrong, he's really great black belt in jiu-jitsu, trains with Marcelo Garcia. I saw him when I was in New York. It was pretty awesome.
Nice.
And just those are really high level, like the highest level you get in grappling. He's been competing against them. So even though Jay Perrin has, good grappling and stuff, I don't think it's going to be to that point. Just like in Raul's previous fight. It's just his grappling's sick. And just because I feel Jason starts his combinations from so far, it doesn't show how good his combinations are. If that makes sense. He like steps through, goes body shots, like kicks and elbows from the clinch and stuff, but it's just too far.
Yeah.
And he's short.
And he just he couldn't win the power exchange against Orichileng either.
Yeah.
Like he got hurt early, which is why I wonder if he was holding back outside of range because his opponent was naturally more powerful than him.
Yeah.
Because like he looked shocked when he got hit by him. It was like, okay. Good work to the lead leg though. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I'd be doing if I was fighting Raul. I'd be chopping into his lead leg because he's so quick off the mark. Like flying knee to takedown attempt. If I can do some damage to one of his legs, I'm going to slow him down and make it easier for me to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to make this one a scrap, though.
Yeah, like in the end of the third round against Orichileng, he really he was awesome. It got the crowd going, and I think those were the best moments that he had.
And the other thing as well is that he's not the undefeated fighter. Like this pressure. The pressure that's on Rosas' shoulders is not on Jay Perrin's shoulders.
Yeah.
Like he's coming in, he's like, okay, what, 10-6, 10-7, so what?
Yeah.
Like I'm coming in because I know that they've matched me to lose to this guy because they're building him.
Mm-hmm. He's now 18, so he doesn't need to have the same. The Athletic Commission had to sign him off in order to be able to fight in the Dana White Contender Series. Yeah.
He had to bring a parent or guardian with him to corner.
Yeah, so now he's 18. Now he doesn't have to do that, which is cool.
Yeah, can't go anywhere in Vegas though.
No.
Yeah, I think Rosas is going to get him to the floor and dominate him grappling wise.
Yeah.
He has particularly strong hips as well. He seems to be able to really flatten people out, and I think he's just going to look big in compared to Perrin. Quick tale of the tape. So 6-0 for Rosas, 10-6 for Jay Perrin. 2-inch height advantage for Rosas, but they've both got 67-inch reach. Higher striking output for Jay Perrin. Same takedown average, but Jay Perrin's are more traditional takedowns, more up against the fence, big double leg rip him out. I don't know if he's going to be using a great deal of that in this fight, do you?
No, I wouldn't. Well, that's kind of where Rosas' last opponent kind of messed up in that third round. He started great, and when he was striking, he was doing really good, but he took it to the ground and he just got reversed. And Larsenko was like, I wouldn't have done that if I was this corner. Yeah. Shout out to her. She's pretty awesome.
She's doing a good job. Okay, so we're going with Rosas then, are we?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Next fight on the card, Daniel da Silva versus Vinicius Salvador. Sounds like a gangster, that does. What a cool name. Vinicius Salvador. Right?
Yeah. It's a pretty cool name.
It's a very cool name. So Daniel da Silva, 11 wins and 4 losses. Vinicius Salvador is 14-4. A lot of fun watching the little bits I could find on him. He's got a long stance. He's very quick in and out, very aggressive, very left-hand dominant as well. And he like hooks it in to his opponent in different angles.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed watching that. Daniel da Silva, aggressive equally. Very fast attacks off his back against Altamirano, which I think might be a key in this one, because I can see Salvador hitting him and dropping him and then running into his guard for a finish. And that's where you're going to see Da Silva spinning for arm bars off his back.
Yeah.
He's just had a bit of rough luck in the UFC so far.
Same as Jay, really. The previous fight just had tough opponents, and sometimes you just get on a bad streak, but it doesn't reflect on your skill level.
Yeah. And he did fight Francisco Figueiredo as well.
Yeah. All of his wins are by finishes. 10 in the first round, 5 by knockout, 6 by submission. I did like when he fought Victor Altamirano, that big right hand that he landed, and then like the spinning back fist, the wheel kick, all those like lunging punches, all those type of attacks I think will be good against Vinicius, but I feel Vinicius thrives in that because that's kind of his style, just the loose, weird, awkward angles, comes with his strikes, very, very whipping type of movement, because he's just, I don't know, it's like you see like really muscular people, they're just like,
yeah,
and he just like whips it.
He's more like Kevin Holland in the way that he whips and twists.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's been fighting for a while as well. 2014 made his pro debut. I've watched a few of his older fights as well. The one against Diogo Oliveira. Mm-hmm. Yeah, from Max Fight back in 2016. His style doesn't seem to have changed much. He just seems more settled with what he does now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm going to see a great deal difference in this fight compared to what I saw in his Contenders fight or way earlier in his career.
What does he have? 13 knockouts as a flyweight with 14 wins. That's crazy.
Because he throws like he's trying to take someone's head off. Is why.
and in the last fight, in the Ross fight, he was getting caught too. He didn't care.
He don't care.
He didn't step back and was like, okay, wait, let me go back. I'm taller. Let me use my reach and stuff. He was like, all right, let's go then. I'm gonna knock you out.
This one will get the fans on their feet, I reckon.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a banger. Me a banger. I kind of don't know which way to go with it, to be honest. I'm leaning slightly towards Salvador just because I think even though obviously he's on a win streak outside the UFC and he's fighting someone who's on a losing streak inside the UFC, I think winning and losing can still feel the same regardless. You know what I mean? It's not like Daniel da Silva's coming in and going, yeah, but my losses are in the UFC and your wins are outside. He's not doing that. He's going, I'm coming off losses. And Salvador's like, I'm winning right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that confidence, as well as the fact that he's got quite a lot of experience over years, I'm going to go with him. I think he's going to drop him and TKO him. Like Da Silva's fun to watch as well, but he also takes quite a few shots.
Yeah, he does. I mean, just the fact that the 3 fights that he's had in the UFC has been like lost to counter right, ground and pound. Obviously, there was a knee bar, and then ground and pound from Victor Altamirano. That wasn't that long ago as well, and he took a lot of damage from bottom. I felt like the referee gave him
a couple of big elbows, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much plenty of time. Bit too plenty, but
yeah. So Salvador then.
Yeah.
Have we got the same picks so far?
I think we do, yes. Oh, I'm very sorry for the last... I did not do that great.
Did you not do very good?
I did not do great. I was watching the fight and I was like, oh my God, where do I put my head? I'm about to get like 40 messages on Instagram telling me how I'm horrible, and I do get them. That's very mean. Sorry, I don't predict the future. I could just watch fights and guess who's gonna win. It's.
What do you mean you can't predict the future?
Yeah, it's just like
Call yourself a martial artist.
What? You don't know nothing. I'm like, all right. It's sports.
Yeah. I always like the comments where people come back afterwards, they'll come back onto one of the War Room episodes, and I always make an argument. Occasionally I'll be leaning slightly to one way, and I think people can sometimes feel it. But often I'm doing a straight down the line analysis of this guy's really good at these things. This guy's really good at these things. He could win this way. He could win this way. And then I'll come back the day after and you went, oh, you said that's going to happen and that didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, I said a lot of things were going to happen. You know what I mean? I gave you 40 scenarios. So there were definitely going to be 39 you could disagree with, even if I was right with one of them. Yeah, I don't think people quite understand the whole
My sister
thing.
messaged me. She was like, real quick, go make a bet. Who you got for this? And I was like, oh, based on the last predictions, I don't know.
It's just too unpredictable with
yeah,
MMA.
It is.
It's just too unpredictable.
It is fun. I do enjoy doing these.
Yeah, for sure. But I ultimately, whenever I'm making these picks, I don't know most of the time. I can see so many different ways it could end in my head, so many different ways that it could go that I'm like, I don't know which way I would settle. It's not until I've done like 3 or 4 days of consuming fights that I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But even so, like with Oliveira and Makhachev, I could see both ways it could have gone. The one thing that's really surprised me about it was how good Makhachev's striking was by comparison.
Yeah.
I thought the pressure was going to make his striking look a little bit more reckless than it did, I was very impressed. But the fight played out in exactly the paths that it should have played out in every way, really. You know what I mean? You just know that it could follow several different paths. If it's boxing, the paths are far, far more limited. Whereas with mixed martial arts, you can identify 10 different paths and you could have a bit of each of those 10 paths in the process of the fight being finished.
Yeah.
It's fascinating trying to pull these things apart and break them down. I'm always interested to see what other people's perspectives are as well. And sometimes we get really, really good comments on the channel, and I can always tell a really good comment, someone that's actually thought about the fight, as opposed to someone that's pick the guy that's on their bedroom wall. You know what I mean? You see that a lot of the time as well. I wish there was a different conversation for people that could actually look at fights objectively, because they're few and far between. Okay, where were we? Chris Curtis against Joaquin Buckley. This again is a really fun fight to watch. So loads of experience on Chris Curtis's side. 29-9 compared to 15-5 for Joaquin Buckley. Curtis is an interesting one in the fact that he kind of, if you watch the Phil Hawes fight, he kind of lets him work a little bit. He kind of feels what he's got, reads how he's moving, and then finds his opportunity somewhere within. Tom Breeze always used to do this. When I used to watch Tom Breeze fight, he used to kind of measure for 3.5 minutes, and it's oh, there, bang, done. And because Chris Curtis has got that because he's got that amount of experience, as well as that comfort just to kind of be close on the inside and just roll stuff off his guard, it puts him in really, really dangerous positions. Yeah.
Slowly takes the space away as well, and increases the pressure as the fight goes on.
Yeah. And never feels pressured to throw back, even if they're throwing at him, which is good. Which I think is wise against Buckley, because of course he's very quick, he's very dynamic. Far more dynamic than Chris Curtis, but I don't know if that necessarily makes a difference in this fight. Because if you again, going back to the Phil Hawes fight, Phil was doing a really good job with the striking until Chris Curtis had settled and found his range, and then that was it.
Yeah, I was quite surprised because that fight, he was the replacement for Darren Till on the UFC London card. Right, and he was getting a big payday for accepting the fight and doing all this, and he fought Hermansson. And I just felt like Hermansson on the outside with the strikes and just being in and out, it didn't allow him to get anything going, didn't allow him to build up off anything, just because he was getting tagged and moved, and he was like, oh, he's awkward as fuck, and he's dorky, and but just getting frustrated and not really doing anything to change it to where he was just like, oh, like being annoyed about it and not seeing like he's playing a smart game plan.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is cut him off and do something like that. And he wasn't really able to adjust in the fight the fact that Hermansson didn't try and take him down because he's like, I have 100% takedown defense. Rodolfo Vieira couldn't take me down. What are you going to do? And he was like, I remember the commentator saying that, he laughed at the fact that Hermansson might strike with him. So I found that to be quite interesting. And I'm kind of glad that you pressured me into going back to my initial pick, which was Jack Hermansson. Just bring that up here.
Like Hermansson's really awkward. And like, because Chris Curtis is quite, he's got a little bit like that Robbie Lawler style. Robbie Lawler's a bit more dynamic, or at least he was in his last fight, a bit more in and out. But Lawler can kind of settle into like a flat-footed, closed style, and just kind of go, all right, okay, come and take the fight from me. Come and knock me out then. And they get in this mindset where as long as you're not landing, I'm winning. You know what I mean? And I kind of like, and that was kind of what was happening against Phil Hawes to start with, until his confidence started to pick up, and he's like, I'm getting really good at striking. I'm really having success with striking, and then left himself open. Yeah. Hermansson just didn't leave himself open because he knows that Chris Curtis has got that kind of power, and because Hermansson's, his timing's weird. Like he's like, he leaps in and he's like sometimes I feel like he stepped on a live electrical cable, and you know what I mean? And it's like for someone like Chris Curtis,
it's just hard to counter. Exactly. It's like the spazzy wipeout type of thing. You're just like
Hermansson would have struggled more with Joaquin Buckley than Chris Curtis.
Yeah.
Just because Joaquin Buckley can cover that distance quickly and do damage very quickly. Like if you watch what he did against Duraev with that lunge left that he swelled his eye up with. Like that's the kind of thing that Chris Curtis is going to struggle with, because he's going to have to slip the punch. He's going to have to read the punch well and slip it, because he doesn't want to try and take it on his guard, because Joaquin Buckley might find his way through with the small gloves and do a lot of damage with one punch. And the other thing as well is I don't know if he's quick enough because of the way that he stands to move himself out of the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if he's walking Buckley down up against the fence and Buckley's bouncing and doing those lunge lefts, like Curtis might just be there to keep getting cracked with that left hand over and over again, unless he starts to look to try and slip it, and then that's where his counters come into play.
That fight he had versus Imavov in Paris was ridiculous. And the way it was, like before the third round started, he's like, I'm just gonna get up, let's go, and he went and he had a phenomenal round. It was, but I feel that he is just power and explosivity. Like his whole body is designed as power and explosivity, and when you trigger him, it overdrives. Yeah. And what was it? Kevin Holland kind of like annoyed him to the point where he was like screaming at him. Yeah. And Imavov with the whole thing before was able to just, even though he started the thing with Imavov, I just think that if Chris Curtis can sort of channel him to do that, because if he over punches and he overuses that power, he can give up, going under, going for his back, and just like those turn things. And that's just because he has so much power. Yeah. But I think that could work against him in this one, though, if Chris Curtis is able to, well, not be on the end of his punches, basically. Like I think, like if I'm Curtis, I'm gonna try and get in Buckley's face and smother that left hand as much as I can, because he's so powerful and he's so quick. He benefits from being further away. Yeah, because he can cover the distance quicker than Chris Curtis can. So then, if I'm Curtis, I want to move inside that range. So then Buckley feels like he's being stifled a little bit, and then he'll be more focused on moving along the fence to try and find his space, which then he's going to, wear him down a little bit and hopefully allow Chris Curtis to start to counter his shots if they start to become laboured. Yeah, makes sense. It's a tough fight to call, honestly, because I can see it going both ways. I can see Buckley lunging in with that left hand over and over again, smacking Chris Curtis in the face and being frustrating because he's not there for any counter punches.
But Buckley then can get drawn in if he's having success. He does start to go left hand, right hook, and really turning into that power. And that's where Curtis will start to counter if he starts throwing multiple shots. But then if Curtis is able to pressure through Buckley's early power, getting backed up against the fence a bit and force it into a closer range boxing match, that relaxed style is going to last longer over the 15 minutes than Buckley's.
Yes.
So ultimately, I have no idea who's going to win.
I think with so many of these fights, so you can watch the fights and you can see how scenarios can play out, but sometimes it has to do with the mentality. Like sometimes fighters come in and they're like, "Oh, I'm determined to take on the world," and other times they're like, "Yeah, I got a fight coming up," and you just like you don't really know, and that plays a big part of how they train and what game plan they implement.
So then, if the fight does start to go the way of Joaquin Buckley and he's picking him from the outside and moving. The mentality comes into play. Does Chris Curtis go, hang on a minute, I learned this lesson against Jack Hermansson? Or does he go, he's doing the same thing that Jack Hermansson did and just keep getting peppered for the next 15 minutes?
Yeah, I just think Buckley has the power to do like real damage, especially with those kicks as well. Because that's where I felt Jack Hermansson was doing great with kicks. And obviously it's not the same height, so you don't have the same, length to keep somebody on the outside. But
yeah, both of these guys 5'10".
Yeah.
Both 5'10", 1 inch reach advantage for Buckley, 76 inches. High striking output for Chris Curtis. Good striking accuracy for Chris Curtis. More strikes absorbed per minute, though, unfortunately. 100% takedown offense. I don't think we're going to see much grappling in this one, do you?
No. Well, maybe the incorporation of grappling to strike.
Which way you go?
Buckley.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll go Chris Curtis then. Just to have a different pick from you for once. I just don't know. It could go either way, really. It could. It's a fun fight to watch. I'm looking forward to it. As is the next one.
Yes.
Jairzinho Rozenstruik against Chris Daukaus. So Rozenstruik with a record of 12 wins and 4 losses. Daukaus with a record of 12 and 5. Now, I was high on Daukaus for a little while, but he's come off a couple of losses, hasn't he? And of course, they were Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, so he's kind of hit that top of the division. Win over Olenek, win over Abdurahimov. If he beats Rozenstruik, it keeps him in that interesting position in the division where he can progress again. But if he loses this one, it's kind of...
Yeah, it really brings him down.
It brings him right down, yeah.
He has such... I feel like he has very good, very quick boxing, obviously, because he has his brother at
middleweight.
Middleweight. So that's great, but I feel like when he punches, sometimes he's right in the central line for these big counter strikers. He's just right, like... It was quick. You got there and you got out of the way, but you got out of the way into the punch of the really big counter striker. And Jairzinho is like you said about Chris Curtis. Sorry, it always happens with Chris Curtis. What is it? Curtis Blades or something? I said messed up last time. Whatever. There needs to be different names here. So. It's just, he kind of like stalks you into where he's going to punch. And I love the way he punches when somebody's against the fence. He kind of traps them and then punches them in the direction that they're heading. Yeah. And that's something that Chris Daukaus, had an issue with in his previous fight. And that's something that Jairzinho is really good at. So that's a scenario I'm going to go with in my head.
Okay.
Yeah. Rescheduled the fight from October 1st. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I think to be honest, Daukaus would be smart to grapple a little bit in this fight. Like, I know Rozenstruik's got 75% takedown defense, but I do feel like if Daukaus is able to get him to the floor, even if it takes him a couple of 3 goes, once he's there, that's where his black belt comes into play. And I don't feel like Rozenstruik's going to look nearly as comfortable on the ground as he would be defending takedowns. He's like. If Daukaus is struggling to get takedowns, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, no, you can't grapple with him. But I think that the barrier of takedown defense, once he's over that, that's when he'd be able to dominate on the top. But the thing is with Rozenstruik, and like you were saying with Daukaus, he is quick and he gets away with a lot because he is quick at heavyweight. He's in and out. He's got good technical boxing. Rozenstruik is a little bit of a standing target. Like he's a very, very skilled and experienced striker, but he doesn't move very much. Do you know what I mean?
You could say that about Derek Lewis as well.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, for sure. But I feel like Chris Daukaus can use that speed, but then he's up against experience. See, like Derek Lewis has got an instinct for fighting, right? It's quite clear that he's got an instinct for fighting because his technique isn't particularly great. But what he does know is how to land a knockout punch on an opponent's chin. Rozenstruik has got, 76 kickboxing matches, 64 knockouts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like 85 kickboxing matches overall. He's knocked out a vast amount of people. The danger might be, I'm too quick for him. I'm in and out. I'm too quick for him. And then he just walks you onto something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could see Rozenstruik using more kicks in this one as well. Like I think that could be problematic, especially working Daukaus' midsection, which doesn't look particularly solid. You know what I mean? Like I would work his midsection and I would work his legs, and I would just try and eat space away from him. Like I like the way that Rozenstruik moves. He kind of like he's a good kickboxer just because the patience that he has. But it's his lack of movement that concerns me. Like that's where he paid against Ngannou because Ngannou was so quick off the mark.
Yeah. Do you think it may have something to do with? Because if you're used to fighting kickboxing, like the range and it's smaller, there's 90-degree angles, and then in an octagon, cornering somebody against the fence so you can knock them out it's different. I also think there's more of an agreement in heavyweight kickboxing that let's not move too much. Yeah.
Like if you took Chris Daukaus out of an MMA fight and put him in a kickboxing match with Rozenstruik, of course we'd expect Rozenstruik to win, but we'd also expect Chris Daukaus to fight like a kickboxer. Whereas if he fights like he does now in mixed martial arts, where he's in and out, he'd look more like Adesanya when Adesanya was fighting in Glory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's the same with Thai boxing. Like there's like that agreement that okay, first round, let's not go crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like okay, let's and there's that agreement that there's a pace. This is the pace that we start at.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right? So like it's what I was talking about with the Adesanya Pereira breakdown. Like it's exactly the way it played out. Was Adesanya was fighting at a range that was uncomfortable for Pereira because it's longer than kickboxing range. So Pereira has to put Adesanya's back up against the fence to make him vulnerable in the same range that he would be in kickboxing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Who are you going with?
I don't know. Again, I don't know. Because I'm a big fan of Daukaus. I just don't know whether... I don't know whether 2 losses is going to be a good thing for his psychology or a bad thing. I think the good thing would be, hang on a minute, let me get my hands on this guy and put him on the ground because I am a jiu-jitsu black belt and I don't feel like this guy is going to be able to do much if he hits the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jairzinho.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, he still got that last second knockout, in the 5th round. So even if he gets taken down and...
Yeah, where he divided Overeem's head in 2.
Yeah. No, it was 4 seconds left. That was
ridiculous.
Yeah. So even if that does happen, he gets taken down and controlled. Unless he gets submitted,
but that
still could knock you out.
That's a good fight to have raised though, because that's exactly what could happen with this one over 3 rounds with Daukaus.
Yeah.
Like Daukaus could really play that long range game like Overeem did. Because again, like if you put Overeem in a kickboxing match against Rozenstruik, they're going to stand closer because it's kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put Overeem in an MMA fight against Rozenstruik and he starts doing all this weird kind of like drifting into range on one leg and then, you know what I mean? He's got really odd movement in MMA compared to kickboxing. It was problematic for Rozenstruik for 20 how many minutes? 4 seconds left?
Yeah,
24 minutes, 56 seconds.
Yes.
But then he got there in the end.
Then bam, bam.
Bam, bam. He got there in the end.
Yeah, I think he's going to get there in the end.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, for shits and giggles then, I'm going to go Chris Daukaus. Because I've picked him every time and he keeps...
Yeah,
Every
right.
time maybe I'm the Drake curse for Daukaus. Every time I pick Chris Daukaus, I think he's been beaten so far.
That happened to me with Neuromagriano.
Oh, Negamariano.
Yeah, I picked against him, and then I picked for him, and then he won. Then I picked against him, and then he lost. And I picked for him because I picked against him last time, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna doubt him again. And then I'm like, I should have went with what I wanted to go with.
Yeah, that was a hell of a performance.
Yeah, that was
what's his name?
Carlos Ulberg.
That's him, Ulberg. Yeah. Okay, I'll go with Daukaus.
Yes.
I'll go with Daukaus. I think those 2 losses are gonna have woken him up a little bit, and he'll make some better decisions in this one.
Next fight.
Okay. So where are we? Internet's being slow. Erik Silva against TJ Brown. So Erik Silva with a record of 9-1. Lots of fun to watch. This guy is against TJ Brown at 16-9, who is equally very fun to watch. I watched his fight against Kai Kamaka again the other day. That's literally like picking the two of the same character on Mortal Kombat. Like they move the same. It was like the only way of telling the difference was that one had bleached hair. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's
right?
the fight that I was upstairs and you were like, haven't you watched enough fights today? Let's just go to sleep. And I didn't realize that I didn't know who I was watching.
Yeah.
I was just like,
because they move the same. They've got
so
like the same
tired.
kind of. They've got like the same kind of skills and the posturing that they
haircut.
do. Same haircut, apart from one's blonde. Yeah. I think this is another really difficult one to pick.
no, it's not.
Do you not think?
No, Erik Silva's going to do it.
Do you think?
Yeah.
But then with that confidence, it sounds like you think Erik Silva's gonna sub him.
No, I think ground and pound
think he's
finish.
okay,
Yeah, I think ground and pound finish. Erik Silva, okay. Maybe there's a tiny bit of favoritism, but I do think this either way because, he's Venezuelan. The coolest, nicest dude.
Yeah.
He's like respectful and just kind of wants everybody to, fight on. And he's not like cocky and like, yeah, I got to the UFC. What's up? Yeah, he's just super, super cool, super nice, but aggressive when he starts. He starts flying like front kick and pressures people into the fence and goes down like in his Contender Series fight. He pressured him against the fence and then picked the ankle. Yeah. And when he got to fight to the ground, he incrementally picked up the distance between his body and his opponent's body so he can generate more power and more torque with the elbows. And I really like that about him. It's not like, control, ground pound, that he sees that he's progressing in the risk he can take with having more space, and he takes that and he really benefits from it. And, he did karate with his father for a very long time, moved to Costa Rica for, a better life and, everyday thing of living in Venezuela, unfortunately. But he has good guillotines, good neck attacks that he can. If he's in a weird scramble position, he'll start attacking your necks with Anaconda, Darce's guillotines to where he can switch you over. And then he goes back to his ground and pound attack with controlling wrist. And yeah, I'm excited for him to fight. What I feel is a little bit of a shame for him is that he's 35 and, starting his UFC at 35, you kind of wish like he had the same as these younger guys starting at 18 or 21 or 25. It'll be harder for him to make a title run.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But the good thing is as well though, he's he's 35, so he's got that he's got some wisdom and maturity. He's also probably very realistic about that fact.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got to be smart. If he gets injured, if he gets hurt, he's gonna have to look after himself and make sure that he's not wasting time. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have the time to waste.
Yeah.
I think this is a tough fight for him though.
Yeah, it's not easy. Plus TJ Brown, he was training with James Krause and Bryce Mitchell. I don't know the deal with that because of everything happening.
No idea what's happening with that.
So great scrambles on the ground, attacking calf slicers, leg locks, and he uses it to get back up as well, it's really nice. It's really nice to see how he utilizes the scrambles and the grappling, and he incorporates takedowns while he's striking. Especially when he pushes you against the fence and you're in this halfback awkward position. And, you know, he kind of goes like from that to arm triangle. And if he doesn't get the arm triangle, he's holding you in that, controlling you, and didn't seem to wear his arms out, which I feel is an issue sometimes with arm triangles, that people go for it and then they're like, oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got, so TJ Brown's got 4 knockouts and 9 submissions on his record, 6 of them arm triangles, 3 rear naked chokes. But then on the other side, Erik Silva, well, he's on an 8-fight win streak. His last 5 fights have all been first-round finishes. 4 of them have all been rear naked chokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you can tell that, you can see that karate styling in his opening against Anvar, because he went front kick to an orthodox stance, straight right into the level change. Yep. It was a nice little transition from one stance to the next. So you're picking Erik Silva, are you?
Yeah. I think the kicks are going to help him a lot as well, because when TJ Brown fought Kai Kamaka, like, Kai was using those leg kicks a lot, and it just, you know.
Well, they both had a very long stance. They were both vulnerable to low kicks, weren't they? It was a good fight, that was. I enjoyed it. He looked better against Charles Rosa. I feel like I've watched Charles Rosa get beaten up several times preparing for this show. I don't know why. I feel like I watched him get grapple fucked by a bunch of different people.
Because it was Bryce Mitchell as well, wasn't it?
Oh, that was it. That was it. See, what's Charles Rosa doing calling out Brendan Loughnane?
I kind of like what signed. Brendan Loughnane said, is like, you just sound salty. You don't sound like, well, for me, I understand that, like, oh, I did all this and I didn't get money, but you should be glad that money is coming in, so that is a potential that you can go and get, and not sound so salty.
Yeah, it's like it seems. It seems
the sport, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like,
it seems like he's annoyed that Brendan didn't get signed by the UFC and went somewhere else and made more money.
Yeah, it's just like,
so
what?
Who are you annoyed at here? Like, I spent 10 years, blood, sweat, and tears, and I see a guy in another company that, because he didn't get signed to the company that you got signed to, which he wanted. You see, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I hope he gets signed by PFL though. But I don't think he's got anything for Brendan. I really don't. Not at this point. Not with what Brendan did the other week to Bubba Jenkins.
Yeah.
I was well impressed with him. Okay.
Erik Silva, NordVPN stamp. Put it right on it. Bam. Put that mountain to his curly mountain hair. Yeah. He gets a cool dude stamp as well.
I'm kind of feeling like picking TJ Brown just to go the opposite way to you.
Okay, when you ask me make you some arepas, I'm gonna be like, TJ Brown gonna make you arepas. I ain't making you nothing. Making you no Venezuelan food.
Okay, yeah, no, Erik Silva.
Yeah,
Erik Silva.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so next fight then. Next fight. Hang on a minute.
Billy. Anytime I see Billy, I think of Billy and Mandy and the Grim Reaper. For those of you who know. Oh, yeah, Jamie knows. Best show. Dan is like the Grim Reaper. He's cool. I liked him.
Let's put my big hood up. Billy Quarantillo against Alexander Hernandez. Kind of a fun fight that's probably not gonna go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? I'm like they're both fun to watch, but I kind of don't feel like this, like at 145, I don't know as I'm going to see either of these guys progress anytime soon.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know,
yeah,
it's just a fun fight. They're both a bit reckless. They're both predominantly strikers, but they'll both grapple if needs be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I
feel like Alex is a little bit more stiff though, and like Billy is like a bit more loose, uses his jab kind of constantly and continues, and Alexander is like, I don't know if it's because of his build.
He is. I know what you mean. He is quite stiff, but then he's got better fluid movement. He moves laterally better instead of Billy, who's like, he's relaxed, but he's always moving forward behind his jab.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like he's a bit too hittable for Alexander Hernandez.
Yeah, that has power.
Like Hernandez has got good power.
Knocked out
that right hand,
Dariush.
Yeah, the right hand he landed on Breeden as well was pretty good. Yeah, I feel like Quarantillo he's a bit too scrappy for Alex, and I feel like because Alex has got good footwork, he does stay mobile. It's going to be Quarantillo like walking, come here, let's have a fight, and he keeps getting cracked in the process.
Yeah, but I see sometimes that Alexander might because he's so explosive, kind of like what I was saying with Joaquin Buckley, that he can overthrow past the central line. And something that Billy used really well against Shane Burgos is that rear uppercut, and he was like searching for it constantly. So I like that, and the straight work to the body, a lot of body shots. I think that you know that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know, because the problem with that uppercut, I did think that, because he nailed Burgos with that a few times, but Burgos does kind of stand. He's happy to stand in the pocket, and Hernandez
he's a fun
doesn't
fighter
do that.
type of person.
Which means that if Quarantillo is trying to catch Hernandez with that uppercut, he's going to have to wait for Hernandez to commit to coming into range, which means that he's then vulnerable for the shots that Hernandez is throwing, because he's going with the uppercut as Hernandez is stepping in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like it would be easier to take the movement away from Hernandez first before he starts trying to land those uppercuts, because then at least he'll have Hernandez trapped up against the fence where he can uppercut and level change and mix wrestling in just to kind of keep it chaotic.
Yeah.
Like the chaos part is where it is Billy Quarantillo's game in this one, I think.
Yeah.
Make it scrappy and chaotic.
Well, when he fought against Gabriel Benitez, I feel Gabriel Benitez has really good. Well, I feel like a lot of the Mexican fighters have really good striking and stuff. A bit too much heart sometimes.
Yeah.
But what I found cool was when he had the fight to the ground, instead of going, like regular hooks in towards the back, he went straight into like a body bar, like a back triangle. So he was putting his leg in and just kind of facilitating himself to get an immediately body triangle and not guard.
Yeah.
The back, you can take out the hooks and turn around or something. So
he got a stoppage from the back, didn't he?
Yeah, just punches.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to.
He did a lot of
him.
damage to Benitez's face.
Yes, he did.
Like, that's the thing. Like, if he can put himself in the pocket, then I think he can land shots to hurt Hernandez. But if you give Hernandez the space to dictate the range which he steps in from, then he's quicker off the mark.
Yeah.
And I think he's got naturally heavier hands, like single, double punches. It's more the volume that Quarantillo gets through and wears people down.
Yeah. I hope he utilizes a lot of low kicks against Billy. Yeah, I think it'll help him out a lot. But I'm going for Billy.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the fence as well. I can see Quarantillo just pushing forward behind his jab and finding that overhand right. And if he's able to put Hernandez in a position where he can move him away from the jab and move him onto the right hand, he could drop him up against the fence. But I'll go Hernandez. I'll go Hernandez. I think his lead leg's vulnerable as well, which is something that Quarantillo can be working.
Yeah. And
I can see him getting beaten up in the process before he stops Quarantillo.
Yeah, I can see that, but I can also see Quarantillo like taking over and because if you see a lot of Billy's wins and like finishes have been second, third round, and for Alexander, it's been losses in the second round, like the knockout loss versus Drew Dober and Donald Cerrone, both in the second round. So, yeah. Yeah,
he came in supremely confident against Cowboy.
Yeah,
almost the point where it kind of got under Cowboy's skin a little bit.
Yeah, Cowboy was like annoyed.
Yeah.
Respect me.
Yeah. The thing is,
I earn my stripes.
Right. If you've been around for long enough, Cowboy's got a new hairline now as well. Did you notice?
What? No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, he's gone.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that he did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. But.
He wears his cowboy hat all the time. Just keep the hat on, dude. Or just accept it. I don't get it.
Yeah, but you can say that because you have like the most glorious hair. It's just you wake up in the morning, it's just like, wow, all of this hair everywhere, too much of it.
Okay, look,
not everybody is blessed with that.
Look, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to say too much about it because I have a lot of friends who have been over to Turkey and got their head plugged.
Yeah, same. That's why I can't say
so I don't, look, 100% go and do it. It seems like a wonderful thing. It seems like a wonderful thing if someone can do that. But I don't know. It's like I'd love to have a conversation with some people about it. I genuinely would because like I don't know. There's like a first of all. No, we don't need to get into this.
Yeah, there's just one guy that always comments, "Can you guys stop with the tangents?"
Oh, because
yeah, he does. Yeah. I'm sorry. We're making you so mad right now. But he's like a loyal follower, so I try.
Of all of it, of the whole process, the one thing that I struggle with is when they post that photo right before they've had the plug-in done.
Yeah, that's how you get like 75% off from your treatment.
Someone's drawn a roadmap on their head. I'm like, pay for it, dude. Pay for it. I don't know. It's. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
It's like we don't see like before and after breast implants and stuff, do we?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I was just thinking I was like, have I seen a girl with like in a robe with like the circles drawn around like the boobs?
Like generally, if someone's having something like that done, they're like, we'll just kind of keep this on the down low. I mean, I guess you can't though if you went from having one hairline to another. But I don't know.
Magical shampoo. Hello.
I just honestly, of all the people that I would have thought, I just wouldn't think Cowboy would give a damn.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, I just can't picture the point when Cowboy looks at himself in the mirror and he's like.
By the way, we've already had a conversation about the conversation. Dan's already talked about this when he initially saw it. It's just a rerun of it. He's just thought more of it.
Is it Bill Burr that talks about it? It's like they've just not figured it out yet. They're still working out the kinks. It's like people showing up like someone's stapled ant legs on their fucking head. All
right, who are you picking?
I don't know. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the problem. Stop with your tangent.
I've gone off on a...
Billy Alexander. Who you got? Alexander looks like an evil kid from a cartoon.
He does.
Yeah, like
he looks like the
Reese's.
He's like the bad kid off Toy Story that breaks his toys.
I always think that when I see him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's nice or not. I've never met him, but I just always think it's Tapology pictures and help him right there. I'm going for Billy. Billy and Mandy.
Okay, I'll go with Hernandez. Although I am kind of thinking that Quarantillo might tough it out and get to him.
Yeah, that's what I think's gonna happen.
I'll go with Hernandez.
Okay.
I'll go with Hernandez. Okay.
Shahbazyan.
Yes, Edmen Shahbazyan against Dalcha Lungiambula.
I'm not going to try to say that last time.
Lungiambula looked like he'd lost some muscle mass in his last fight. He looks like he's realised that he's spending a massive amount of energy powering the muscle mass that he's got. Because like when he first came into the UFC, I think his first fight was Magomed Ankalaev. Oh no, sorry, Daquan Townsend was his first one. He was massive. He was just so heavily muscled, and he'd been fighting over at EFC in South Africa, and they'd already started calling him Dalcha champion. You know what I mean? It was like the perspective of his coaches and his team is that they're going to put him into the UFC and he's just going to destroy everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it was like he's this force that the UFC are not going to be able to deal with. And then Magomed Ankalaev front kicked him in the face after exhausting him for the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. And Lungiambula just looked up, he was like up against the fence with like massively pumped muscles, just looking exhausted. And for me, that's always been what he's been working against is, can he land the punches or is he going to miss and exhaust himself in the process?
Yeah. I found it was weird because when he fought, what was it?
Soriano.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was like grabbing his rib after the first round.
Yeah.
I didn't know why.
He's probably cramping from dehydration.
Maybe,
right?
Yeah, that's a really good, because I rewatched it and I was like, I don't really see a strike for him to be like, oh, I broke my rib or something.
Yeah.
But he was like holding his rib a bit weird.
Yeah.
I find him like, he probably like in front of you looks like really physically intimidating.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's just like, that guy hits me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go sleep.
Yeah, he looks like he could jump out of the octagon and back in again without much of an effort.
Yeah,
you know?
Like those people that jump out of a pool up here.
Yeah.
I've always tried that. I've nearly
chance.
broken my face doing that many times.
Yeah, I mean, like the smart thing to do, skills aside, the smart thing to do if you're fighting Shahbazyan clearly is to wrestle him, take him out of his striking range, put him on the floor, and just drowned him with heavy top pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw Dalcha wrestle more in his last fight against Soriano, but I don't know if he's got the gas tank to be able to wrestle Shahbazyan like someone like Brunson did.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I feel like because he hasn't got the same technical level as someone like Brunson when it comes to wrestling, that he's not going to have the efficiency of his technique to not exhaust himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just massively overpowered physically, and I think that could be problematic for him in this fight. This for me is an opportunity for Shahbazyan to do a little bit what Ankalaev did to him, like beat him up from a distance.
Yeah.
Beat him up, and then
absolutely.
get a finish.
I don't think he'll wrestle much though, because like when he was going against Imavov, he kept getting caught in like guillotine type of attacks, and his back was really curved when he went for takedowns. So it wasn't really. And if you think about, well, I don't know, because I feel sometimes really heavy, muscular people are very light. Like to pick up, it's like a lot easier to pick up something light. Like a fat person is the worst. It's the worst. It's just, I don't know how they could weigh the same and feel so much heavier. But,
it's like if Dalcha just stood there and contracted his whole body like that, you could grab his wrist and lift the whole of him up.
Yeah, right. That's how like muscular people feel sometimes.
Yeah.
Edmen, I just feel like he could use his jab, lead hook, low leg kick, and one kick that he did in mid-exchange versus Tavares was when he just brought up his leg, and that was really nice. It was kind of like what Jai did to Ilia Toporia, which we'll talk about next.
He dropped Soriano with a low kick as well. Like he's a very powerful individual. So just going back to the difference in his weight, his first two fights in the UFC were light heavyweight. After he lost to Magomed Ankalaev, he went down and fought Marcus Perez at middleweight, won that one by decision, but has then lost 3 at middleweight since then.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at light heavyweight, he had too much muscle mass, and that was problematic for him. And I feel like he's probably still got too much muscle mass now, but what he's afforded himself in energy because he's taken some of that muscle mass off, he's now worked against himself by having to cut some weight to get to middleweight.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the benefit reward, I don't know as is there. You'd be better to solve his inefficiency problems than to try and get him down a weight class.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can't generate crazy amounts of power in a short distance though, like we did against Cody Brundage.
Yeah, Brundage.
Yeah, Brundage. And like overhook, and he was on his knees. He just went what? In the most awkward angle. Like no normal person could generate power with that.
No.
Yeah.
I think Shahbazyan does this one.
Me too.
I think he's had a rough run of talented fighters. Brunson, Hermansson, and then Imavov, of course. And
also very young when he and he just had a lot of pressure on him because wasn't he coming off like at the same time as Ronda? And she was pushing him. Yeah,
he's out of that same gym.
Yeah.
He's trained by head movement, isn't he?
Anytime I hear the word head movement, or someone's like, "Oh, use your head movement," in my head it goes, "Head movement."
Got to move his head. Got to move his head in this one. It's like there are certain phrases that have been associated with head movement. Yeah, like at any point, if any of the commentary team say, "Oh yeah, no, they got to stop this fight. They got to stop the fight," like straight away, it's like, "Oh, I don't know." He says stop the fight. Yeah, head movement is Targaryen, isn't it? Tarverdian.
I don't know his name.
I always get it mixed up with the Game of Thrones name. Yeah, lots of pressure on him because he was looking really good. Like he was. I mean, like
and Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, this guy's like, you know."
Yeah. So you go what? 40-second finish on the Contender Series, then a split decision against Darren Stewart is the only competitive fight that he had in the UFC up until the losses. But then he had 3 finishers: Charles Bird, 38 seconds; Jack Marshman, minute 12 rear naked choke, and then that head kick against Brad Tavares. I think he's problematic in this one for Lungiambula. I just think it's a case of him being smart in that first round. But then, I mean, 3 losses in a row. Like, who's that affecting the most psychologically?
Yeah, I think Edmen will come out on top because, okay, you have losses, but if you started so young and you have all this thing, you can associate a lot of those losses with like a growing process and like a maturity and a different outlook. And when you're more developed in your age and style and stuff, it's more, I feel, more daunting because you can't really separate it as much.
Yeah. So. Difference in height and reach in this one. So you've got Shahbazyan with a height of 6'2" and Dalcha Lungiambula listed as 5'8" on UFC stats. 5'8", but with a 76-inch reach. So Lungiambula actually has a 2-inch reach advantage on Shahbazyan. But then the height is going to be about Shahbazyan's kicks, isn't it? Yeah. So his legs are going to make up for that difference in reach. Slightly higher strikes landed per minute, better striking accuracy. Striking defense falls in the favor of Lungiambula, but that's because of the Shahbazyan fights against Brunson and stuff where he was taken down and beaten up. Like his striking defense will have been impacted on those stats because of that. 77% takedown defense for Lungiambula, 57% takedown defense for Shahbazyan. I won't be surprised if Lungiambula tries to wrestle in this one. I think especially if he feels like Shahbazyan's controlling from the outside and landing at will. I think Lungiambula will grab him and drive him up against the fence, try and take him down. Yeah. Just to try and stifle it, especially because that's how we've seen Shahbazyan lose. I just don't know if he's got the gas tank to be able to do it. Yeah.
Who you say you were going for?
Shahbazyan. I think Shahbazyan's going to do it. I just think he's too technical. Like Lungiambula's he's working against a massive amount of muscle mass and being overpowered, and he's also now he's gone down a weight class, I think, to try and get that under control. I don't think you can get it under control that easy when you swing so hard. Yeah. Okay. Main card time. So, shall I give a quick shout out to the sponsors again before we start the main card?
Yeah.
Athletic Greens, AG1. Make sure you get on this stuff. So if you go to athleticgreens.com/outlawed, you will get the fantastic deal that they're doing. You'll get your year's supply of vitamin D and K2. You'll get 5 free travel packs. You want to get yourself one of these nice little bottles and get yourself mixed up and get some nutrients in your system. And NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/outlawed. You'll get a month free. You'll get a free gift. You'll get a massive discount on your NordVPN package. And it's 30 days money back guarantee. So give it a go because I think you'll be very impressed with them. Super fast internet on NordVPN, which is my main concern when I'm traveling is I get a VPN and then it's super slow and I can't watch any videos, can't do any research. NordVPN's got like 5,000 servers over 59 countries.
Yeah, I've used it to watch your BT breakdowns.
When you're away and you're missing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, reruns of it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, why are you being late?
You're so cute. Okay, next fight. Bryce Mitchell.
Doug Nasty.
I like flat. That name. Well, my farm's flat, so I know the earth's flat. Bryce Mitchell against Ilia Toporia.
Yeah.
Hell of a fight this one is.
This is fun.
Hell of a fight. Really, really good grappling on both sides. So, hang on a minute. Tail of the tape. So, see, they've got Bryce Mitchell listed as 15-1 on stats. That's because of the Ultimate Fighter loss. You can't be counting that.
Yeah.
So, Bryce Mitchell, 15-0. Ilia Toporia, 12-0. Of course, Bryce Mitchell is a very, very strong grappler. Beautiful twister, lots and lots of twister attempts against, was it Charles Rosa? Mm-hmm. Like over and over again with that twister attempt. 9 submissions on his record, no knockouts. That's the big point of difference between these two. So of those 9 submissions, we've got 5 rear naked chokes, 2 triangles, an armbar, and a twister.
Yes. On
Ilia Toporia's side, we've got 4 knockouts and 7 submissions, 2 rear naked chokes, 2 guillotines, triangle armbar, anaconda.
Yeah. 4
knockouts though. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing, especially because the finish he got over Jai Herbert with that right hand, hooked to the body right hand. And you go back into Toporia's game and you look before he signed with the UFC, and the consistency was, I remember making a note of this for his debut. the consistency is he either subs you in the first round or he stops you in the second generally. Like, he's got some second round submissions, but a lot of his submissions are first round. Rear naked choke, mounted guillotine, anaconda, etc., etc. But then he's got wicked power in his right hand as well.
Yeah.
Really strong power in his right hand.
And he fought, Ilia Topuria fought Ryan Hall, and I know it's, grappling-wise, they're not... It's not exactly the same because, yes, they are both grapplers, but Bryce Mitchell has kind of adapted it a little bit more to an MMA point to where...
And he can wrestle as well, Bryce Mitchell can, whereas Ryan Hall didn't have that option to take it down without trying to steal his socks.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just the way he incorporated the ground and pound with somebody that was dangerous on the ground and still managed to get the fight finished. Yeah. And the amount of power he can generate, and it's just crazy. When he fought, what was it, Damon Jackson? Mm-hmm. The same, left body hook to overhand right. And if you see a lot of his videos where he's training and drilling, he's drilled that over and over and over again so much that it's second nature to him, even if it was in trouble. And that we did see him in trouble versus Jai Herbert. Mm-hmm. And he took a legit hard kick to the head by somebody a weight class above him. And same team as Leon Edwards, a kick to the head type knock you out.
Yeah, Jai's very good. Very good. That was a big win for him, I thought.
and it wasn't going his way. And he came out and he still got a knockout. So it tells me that if things don't go his way, he can still pull it out of the bag. It's not like everything's gone perfect and that's why I'm perfect. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going through adversity. And then I found Bryce Mitchell's fight against Brad Katona.
Yeah.
Which was very difficult to find.
Yeah, very difficult to find.
It was really, really well hidden.
Yeah. Well, Katona's left now. Is he in Brave, I think?
Yeah.
I think Brad. But see, like Brad Katona, he won the Ultimate Fighter in that same season that Bryce Mitchell was in. But
yes.
He's not... Of everybody on that season, Bryce is the one that's kind of come out as like the star, even though he lost in the semi-finals.
Yeah. Lost by a rear naked choke.
Yeah. Is it third round?
Third round, yes, third round. There was so many
good.
Yeah, there's so many great exchanges in that fight, grappling wise. There's so much diversity of attacks from the ground from Bryce Mitchell. I feel Bryce Mitchell has a more creative and like good deep half guard sweeps. What was it? He had a reverse crucifix, and then he was like trying to triangle his legs into something else. So there's definitely a lot of creativity and a lot of transition. And I feel Ilia is more like to the point.
Yeah.
Type of.
He's more direct with his MMA game than Bryce, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I think he's invested like 25% of his learning credits into striking, so he's got a more well-rounded game generally, which gives him confidence on the feet. Like, Bryce Mitchell's been effective because he's been able to get fights to the floor, but if he's not able to get this fight to the floor, if Toporia is able to keep this one on the feet, then where does Bryce Mitchell's striking look? You know what I mean? That's my concern for him, because I feel like on the floor, because Bryce has gone 90% of his game is jiu-jitsu, or at least it's kind of how it seems so far. I feel like he might have an advantage on the floor against Toporia. He might be able to keep throwing enough stuff at him and be creatively aggressive that Toporia is on the back foot and having to scramble out and bail and not really wanting to stay there and post and ground and pound like he was against Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
Like, I could see Toporia like really desperately wanting to bail out of those situations to keep it on the feet. So then then the battle really in this fight is Bryce Mitchell trying to get the fight to the floor and Toporia wanting to keep it on the feet because he can punch.
Yeah. And he's Georgian, so,
Yeah, I feel like he's got I feel like he's got Greco in his background as well.
Yeah, but like from his family and stuff. So I just feel that will help a lot.
Yeah. Who wins on the floor, do you think? If this was just a grappling match,
yeah,
no
I think
striking.
Bryce Mitchell would win on the floor if it was just a grappling match.
Which is crazy because most of the time when it's Ilia Topuria, people are talking about how good his grappling is.
Yeah, but I feel like it's really good with the combination of strikes as well. Like that helps bring his grappling to another level when you mix with his physicality and everything together, like his complete fullness. But in like a jiu-jitsu points type of way,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you get like sweeps and good transitions and you
So could
points
Toporia
add
have
up.
beaten Ryan Hall in a jiu-jitsu match, do you think?
I don't think many UFC fighters beat Ryan Hall in a jiu-jitsu match, though.
I think Bryce Mitchell does.
Mm.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like
Yeah,
it's difficult
it is
to kind of
interesting.
because like the thing is like Ryan Hall's obviously got really really good jiu-jitsu, but he just doesn't have the means to get the fight to the range where he wants it.
But he's
like,
also not very like physically strong.
No.
He like lives in injuries and surgeries and stuff. So that's a factor. You know, if it's not a factor, why does Andre Galvao look like? You know,
Yeah.
little mini Hulk. It's like no, strike doesn't matter, and you're just like, yeah,
yeah.
don't look like it.
Yeah, I kind of don't know which way to go on this one. I'm leaning towards Toporia because he's more of an MMA fighter.
I'm going for Ilia Toporia for this, yeah.
But I think, honestly, I think either way I'll be surprised in this one. Like I think if Bryce Mitchell was able to take Toporia down, dominate him on the floor and submit him, that's going to be a real surprise to me.
Yeah.
If Toporia is able to keep this fight on the feet and stop Bryce Mitchell taking him to the floor and tangling him up at least for periods of time, I'll be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think either one of these guys is going to shut the other one out completely.
No, I think it's going to be quite quick. It reminds me a little bit of the first fight in the card, like prospects, but further along in their careers.
For sure. Yeah. Which, you know, again, is like, it's so difficult to know which way it's going to go because they're both riding high. Like, if anything, Toporia's had a couple of reality checks recently. Like, say the Jai Herbert fight wasn't all going his way.
No,
You know
not
what I mean?
at all.
So there's a little reality check there that, oh, hang on a minute, like, people can better me in certain circumstances, and it gives him a bit more of a humility that maybe Bryce Mitchell doesn't have because it's not been...
but don't you think he had it with Brad Katona?
That's what I was saying, but that's 2018. You know,
before the hype thing.
Like, you're talking 4 years has passed. He's on a 6-fight win streak, and since that point, everyone's like, Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, they even give him his own shorts.
There you go.
Like, who has camo shorts? And that's like, it's a dumb thing to say, but also it just goes to show you that they're like, oh yeah, cool. That's, you know, they'll help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Ilia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I could sit on the fence about this one, to be honest. I'm gonna go Toporia. I'll go Toporia as well. Yeah, I'm proper on the fence about this one. I'll be watching this one minute by minute, wondering how this is going to play out because I think they're both very, very good. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching Bryce Mitchell's grappling skills and the way that he dominated Charles Rosa, and I know Charles Rosa's had a bit of a roasting by a couple of people on this card, but he's a tough, durable fighter.
Yeah,
he's good.
He's
He's a good black belt. You know what I mean? He's not the same level of grappler that someone like Bryce Mitchell can bring to the table.
Yeah.
And because it was so dominant by Bryce Mitchell, I was like, that was quite clearly a wake-up call for Charles Rosa. At the end of the fight, he was like, dude, well done. You know what I mean? He congratulated him straight away. Oh, I don't know. No, I'll go Toporia. Striking being the difference. Remember, this is MMA.
Yep. Up next,
we have Darren
whitest
Till.
teeth in the roster.
I don't know. Paddy's got pretty white teeth now. He had a new set. Or did he just borrow Molly's? I'm not sure.
The Liverpool teeth.
Shergar Pimblett. Not many people will get that. My dad would get it though.
No, I didn't get it. So
it was a racehorse. Darren Till against Dricus du Plessis. So Darren Till with a record of 18 wins, 4 losses and a draw. Dricus with a record of 17 wins and 2 defeats. You watched his fights against Soldic, didn't you?
Yeah, you told me to.
Yeah.
'Cause I was watching some of the fights and you were like, watch his fight against Soldic.
Yeah.
I was like, ah.
It was his last loss. So he's got two losses on his record. One was against Gareth McClellan, who was in the UFC for a while, Soldier Boy. Mm-hmm. He was the EFC champion. Good fighter, tough, durable individual. And then he challenged Soldic for the KSW belt.
Yep.
Beat him the first time, lost to him the second time, and then had a couple more fights before he signed with the UFC. Interesting fight this one is. I don't like. Well, you said this the other day, and I think you're right. I feel like Darren Till's kind of lost a bit of that edge that he had when he first signed with the UFC. That kind of.
Yeah, I'm hungry to like show.
Fucking get it, you know, fucking, you know what I mean? When he's like grabbing the mic and he's yeah, this, you know, I don't know whether he's been discouraged by a couple of losses.
I think, and this is obviously, I don't know, I'm just as a fan speculating, but I just feel like sometimes with the UFC, they give you so much publicity and stuff like that, and it was something that I watched. I was looking at Brandon Moreno because I was going to speak to him and stuff, and he went and he saw Canelo. Right? Oh, yeah, I remember watching that video. And Canelo was like, you're going to get invited to parties and you're going to get invited to all these things. But remember, fighting is what keeps you at the top. It's not going to those parties. It's not all of the other things. Those are distractions. This is what got you here and this is what's going to keep you here. And I feel like that happens to some fighters sometimes. Like the fighting is what got him there, and then this all comes in. And if you have to imagine it's so much.
Yeah.
You have celebrities like, you know, messaging you, people that you grew up watching, and you're just like, really? It really takes you away from the essence that got you there. And I feel like that from Canelo was probably one of the best advice I've ever heard a top person give.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Because you're going to get this, like, oh, come to this party. Oh, come to this. Oh, you're the man. You're this. Oh, you don't need to train. You're a superstar.
Yeah.
And that kind of, you're just like, oh, show me the millions. If you want me to show up, I have, you know, like.
Things we can learn from Canelo.
Yeah.
Don't get too much into partying when people start inviting you to stuff because you're becoming famous as a fighter.
It just takes you away from being that fighter that got you famous. And kind of a little bit like Conor as well. Like, you don't see him the same as when he was, you know, like at 145 going in for the, like, he has money, he has parties. Yeah. And I feel maybe that happened a bit to Darren Till.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Especially because he's, you know, he's a likable guy. There's a lot of people that want to hang out with him. He seems like a lot of fun. You know what I mean? He's like, everyone wants to steal a taxi with Darren Till.
Yeah.
It's I agree.
Smash Brothers things going on.
I think it's good that he's been out in Thailand, though. I do think, well, it's good and bad. I think it's good because he's been out around Brendan, who obviously been preparing for the PFL championships. Obviously, the training's hard out there. He's a big dude, so it's good that he's in a warm climate where he's sweating constantly. But he's also in a gym where everyone knows who Darren Till is. You see that eye gouge he got the other day, which was really, really bad.
Yeah.
And he did a video as he was coming out the gym, and it was quite obvious that he felt the person had done it intentionally. And that's the downside to traveling to train at other places. Like yeah, exactly. Like, he's been at Cowbomb for a long time, you know, alongside Tom Aspinall and Colin Heron. And I don't know what's happened there, but I've not seen him in and around that camp at all, aside from when he was in Aspinall's corner at UFC London.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there, but sometimes I feel like stability is good for some fighters, and I feel like Darren Till is. I mean, you got to think he was sent away to South America to get out of the potential of causing trouble in Liverpool because he was getting involved in trouble. You know, like as soon as he started having some success at the UFC and he was back in Liverpool, you know, he bought a pizza restaurant and you saw him out, and like I feel like being in a restricted environment's probably better for Darren Till, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas I don't question the discipline of Duplessis. Not at all. He just seems like, this is what I do. Like, he's got his home gym, he's got his team around him who are all very, very much invested in and believing that he's going to be something special. Yeah,
he said he not only the first South African, he wants to be like the best. Like, it's not about, oh, okay, I'm just representing this country that's like, you know, it's not on the map for MMA, and, you know, I'm just gonna give a good account for myself. It's for him, it looks like it's beyond that.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that his darting attacks, I don't know, that's how I wrote it down.
He sprints through, doesn't he? Yeah.
And that's how Masvidal caught Darren Till.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like those, when I put against Giles that Duplessis landed against Giles, like the darting right hand, and even if he's hurt,
that was off the back foot as well against Trevor Giles, wasn't it? Because he was under pressure and then he stepped through with that right hand, knocked him out. But the thing is that this is where I feel like technically he comes unstuck against Darren Till, because even if Till's unmotivated and doesn't come in, and I'm not saying that any of this is the case, because I would imagine he's been preparing well for this. But even if he came in like not really up for the fight or whatever, he's still going to stand his ground and tie box with you.
Yeah.
Like Darren's very good with that in and out movement, but he also knows the value of standing his ground. Like if you think when he knocked down Rob Whittaker in that first round of their fight, that was an elbow. That was because Whittaker had stepped in hard and Till just stands his ground.
Yeah.
Like, I can see him smashing Duplessis with elbows if he's too reckless, because Duplessis, he's got effective striking, but it's not as clean as Darren's, I don't think.
No. I feel like Darren Till he's a better striker, and I feel Duplessis isn't, even when he gets those knockouts, he's not really the better striker of it. He landed that shot with a lot of power because he can generate, even if he's hurt. A little bit like Tai Tuivasa, who's like hurt and then he still knocks you out. But if Darren Till uses a lot of attacks to the body, like Soldich did and like Marcus did, a lot of kicks to the body and stuff, that would really good, because he backs away and like a double high guard, like, gosh, oh no, it's coming at me, and it's just like straight line back with double high guard, which somebody like Darren Till can take really good. If it was, and it's not even about the weight, if it was just like the hungry Darren Till at 170, I wouldn't even be questioning this match.
Yeah. I think Darren's a better striker. Duplessis, he commits to things, but he doesn't look confident when he's doing a great deal of his striking. I don't think he tends to. It's like he's pulling random cards in his head. Is what his striking looks like to me. Because he travels through and he commits, he does get to a lot of people. Steps through, comes whipping with that low kick like the kid Saaiman does in the first fight of the night.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like Darren Till gives him that space. I feel like Till does what Soldich did to him in the rematch, pushed him up against the fence and hammers him in the body with kicks.
Yep.
And then off the back of that, if you remember, Soldich went left kick to left hand.
Yeah, same hand, same side.
I feel like this is a fight for Darren Till to win, as long as he comes in with the right state of mind.
Yeah, and for me, I'm picking Darren Till, and it's not like a England favoritism type of thing. It's like I really think that he is the better technical fighter. This is one of those like mentality things that I was talking about earlier. Like that plays a big part in this fight, and mentality wise, I don't question Duplessis. I feel like he's just like, this is my trajectory to the top, and everything around me is based for that. A little bit like Ilia Toporia, like he has everything around him based on his life. Like he is the center of everything. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like Darren Till can come out of this uncertainty and this thing that he has, because it's not like he's. Okay, he lost. Yeah, Derek Brunson has done that to everybody. Robert Whittaker, Masvidal, and Tyron Woodley, which was the champ. But we're not talking about him losing to.
No, he's losing to good fighters.
To like top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
Top 4, top 5. So.
And I don't think Duplessis can do what Brunson or Woodley did to him. I don't think Duplessis got the striking setups to be able to do what Masvidal did to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, can Duplessis stay on the outside and outpoint him for 3 rounds? Only if Darren's not really trying to close distance. Like, I feel like Darren's got a higher fight IQ and better application of weapons.
Yeah.
Like Duplessis' striking might from watching a fight look like he's got more skills in the bank. But in actuality, I feel like Darren's got more options and uses less.
Yes.
Like you look at the strikes landed per minute. Darren's strikes landed per minute is 2.26 compared to 6.55 for Duplessis. And that's because Darren's a bit more of a sharpshooter. One of my favourite shots he landed, which I could see having a recurrence in this fight, is the elbow against Bojan Veličković, where he stepped in. Oh, it was beautiful. And the good thing with Duplessis is that he can switch stance. Like Till's predominantly a southpaw. Duplessis switches southpaw or orthodox, depending. He seems left foot dominant, which is why I think he switches. But no matter which stance he's going to be in, Darren's going to have something to work. If it's southpaw v southpaw, he's going outside leg calf kick. If they're open stance, they're opposite stances, Till's going to be working his body kick.
Yeah.
So I feel like even the switching stances of Duplessis doesn't really help him too much in this fight, because it only expands his confusion because he's got less control over his skills in the first place.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Whereas Darren's like, I'm a southpaw, I've got a wicked left hand, I've got a really good left body kick, and I've got great footwork and know how to apply it. Mm-hmm. And if the left hand misses, I'll crack you with the left elbow. It's a more streamlined game, a bit more like Connor's in that way.
Yeah.
You know, you could have someone that's got a more diverse skill set, but if you do the one thing that you know you're good at very good, yeah, I'm picking Darren Till.
Same.
Picking Darren Till.
Stamp it up, Jamie.
Good fight, though. Good fight. Okay. Co-main event. Santiago Ponzinibbio against Robbie Lawler. So Ponzinibbio 28-6. Let me just check these records are the same on here. So Robbie Lawler 29-16-1 no contest, and 29-6 for Ponzinibbio. You got 28-6. They're different again, aren't they?
Yeah, I got 28.
Yeah, I reckon it's because the UFC stats count fights that other people.
It's probably like exhibition fight that they counted.
Silliness. So I've done a war room on this. Make sure you go and check that out. So height and reach. So I called bullshit in the war room, and I'm going to do it again. Robbie Lawler 5'11" with 74-inch reach. Santiago Ponzinibbio is no way 6 foot tall.
We did have this conversation earlier.
There's no way he's 6 foot tall. Like, unless he's wearing his platform dress shoes, his Austin Powers platforms, there's no way he's 6 foot tall. Like, Robbie Lawler, I've stood next to Robbie Lawler eye to eye. We're wearing about the same profile of shoes.
Yeah.
Yep. He's 5'11".
I would say, yeah, maybe Ponzinibbio can be 5'11". There's no way he's 6 foot tall, though.
Stand Ponzinibbio next to Dalcha Lungiambula, who's listed at 5'8". And I would say they're probably about the same height. I reckon Lungiambula's 5'9", and I reckon Ponzinibbio's 5'9".
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably went tippy toes when they were measuring.
Tell me, he had his massive platforms on. He got his AG1 canisters glued to the bottom of his shoes.
They were due to fight almost exactly 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Minus
and that
4
was
days.
the beginning of Ponzinibbio's illnesses, wasn't it?
Yes.
It took him out for a while. I feel like if they'd have fought back then, Robbie Lawler would have won. Mm. But now I'm feeling like Lawler's...
I just feel like Lawler isn't... Like, when he fought Nick Diaz,
yeah.
I felt like he was excited for the fight. He was like, oh, it's another like veteran. It's Nick Diaz. He's coming back. That's awesome. I'm just going to give out my all. Yeah. When he fought Brian Barberena, he looked like he didn't care.
Yeah, he didn't look like he had any concern over Barberena.
Whatever.
Yeah, he didn't look like he had any concern that Barberena could hit him with anything that would hurt him.
Yeah, and he's just like so comfortable. He gets so comfortable in the slipping because he's so good at it that he doesn't realize, dude, you've slipped about 40 punches. Some are bound to get through.
Yeah, and the judges are scoring at least half of them.
Exactly, and then the timing, he's gonna catch your timing eventually. Like if you stand in front of somebody and you do this, right? You wait a little bit and they can catch the timing. Mm-hmm. If you do it for long enough, no matter if the person is like a little bit slow, they're gonna catch you with it.
Barberena did a good job of switching up with elbows.
Yes,
because like that's the one thing that you can't roll really very well with the Philly Shelley's elbows.
Yeah,
like you need frames and a guard for elbows. Really, you can meet and smother and to an extent put your head in a safer place when someone's starting to throw elbows, but. Because of the way that Robbie was moving forward and he's like patting and rolling and stuff, and then when Barberena starts stepping in, he was hitting him clean with elbows because Lawler was still in a like a Philly shell boxing mode.
This is what something I wanted to talk to you about. So at the end of the what was it? It was like strikes landed 36.
On stats?
Yes.
For which fight?
For Barberena, Robbie Lawler.
Yep.
And then, so it was Lawler, I think it was like attempted 36, attempted 60, landed 36 or something about significant. And then it put Barberena did 190 strikes. But I don't think it's a strike when you're kind of like pawing at somebody. Like, why is that being counted as a strike?
Yeah, no.
Type of thing. It's just, I thought that was kind of
There's a lot
annoying.
of stuff when it comes to the statistics that I don't think are very accurate. The good thing is that they're because they have the same process that they gather for everybody. If you look at someone and you go, okay, they've got 1,500 strikes and this person's got 1,000, even though the numbers might not be right, the outcome is still the same because the person with 1,500 strikes generally is throwing more.
Yeah.
You know? But then there's a lot of fighters that don't, like they'll throw strikes that are clearly not intended to land, but they'll be classed as strikes that missed.
Kind of like the takedowns, that when somebody's chaining together a takedown, it's like, oh, no, you failed 3 takedown attempts. And it's like, no, that was a chaining of
like Chimaev against the leech.
Exactly.
Like he failed his first takedown. I don't think he did. I think he put the leech down on one foot to readjust his grip so he could finish the takedown. It's like, that's not a failed takedown because he was able to get his foot to the floor, you know? And there's a lot of these that, like there are a lot of strikes. If I sat, so we've got 317 total strikes thrown by Brian Barberena.
Yeah.
316 significant strike attempts. So there's one strike in there somewhere that they decided wasn't significant and it goes on to the total strikes stat instead, which is just silliness. Because there's one difference in total strikes and significant strikes as well. It's a weird, like 148 of 317 compared to 147 of 316. Like, what's that one strike? Like that person that's clicking that button, take the button off them and tell them to find me that one strike that was a total strike but not a significant strike. Because I want them to tell me the difference between that one strike and all of the other ones that he threw. Like, why was that different?
Yeah.
Right? That makes no sense at all. It's ridiculous. Robbie Lawler's significant and total strikes are all exactly the same. Then you'll look at somebody and it'll be very, very different in the way that they're divided up. It's that's like the PFL with it being automated. I think is a big benefit because this is still someone with a button
in the truck.
You know what I mean? They don't know whether they're calling for room service or counting significant strikes. But again, like Brian Barberena landed 148 total strikes. I would argue he didn't. I would argue he probably landed 60 or 70, and Robbie Lawler probably landed less than 81. Mm-hmm. But because they're counting strikes that we wouldn't count them against us if we were fighting.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, oh no, I blocked that, rolled that. That didn't touch me. That didn't hit me. It kind of skews styles. Like Mads Burnell, for example, has that Philly shell type of style, and then the judges they don't really see it. It's hard to see, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, you can feel that you're blocking and you're in good safeguard, but if you're watching it from the outside and you're just hearing, and you know, it's hard to differentiate those things as well.
Yeah, it can be when the judges have got very little training to judge those kind of things.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I understand, but it's
like
also...
you sit James Toney next to the cage, he's going to tell you what shots are landing and what aren't.
Yeah.
You sit Mads Burnell next, he's going to do the same thing. The fact that people don't know is because they don't know. It's because the information's not there for them. But
what I'm trying to say is that it kind of tailors the way that you fight a little bit, because you realize that, oh, that's not helping me because I'm being on the wrong end of judges, even though that's incorrect or whatever. So it really, I feel like it tailors the way people fight sometimes
for sure,
because of
absolutely.
it.
It was like you go a few years back when Machida was fighting, and most of the time, unless it was really, really clear that he was outstriking them and not getting hit, most of the time, like the judges would consider him to be losing the fight because he's not controlling the space.
Yeah.
when in actuality he wants to fight on the back foot so he can draw people into his strikes. But that level of understanding had not transitioned into the judging criteria yet. The judges couldn't grasp the idea that you can fight off the back foot.
Yeah.
Just like it took them a while to grasp the idea that you can win a round off your back if you're more active than the person sitting in your guard trying to bury their head.
Yeah, but that makes you risk more, because then that was happening to Machida, and then he started risking more, and then he was getting in trouble because he was like overextending himself, something that he wouldn't have normally done, but it was because the judges weren't seeing this thing happening. Does that make sense? And yeah. With Ponzinibbio, I mean, the last, it was split against Michael Pereira, which is a crazy athletic, like just crazy dude. Jeff Neal, also really good with his hands, went over Miguel, and I know the Leech, but he's also some giant powerhouse. And
that was a long time out as well.
Yeah,
like,
that was after
so confident that he was going to come back in.
Stuff. I thought with the Leech it was a hard fight just because of how physically the Leech is and how much muscle mass Ponzinibbio had lost when he got sick. Like, I remember seeing him, because I saw him before when he was rising with his wins and stuff, and then seeing him after. But before he fought the Leech, I was like, oh my God, you are so small in comparison. Yeah,
he did. I remember because I called his fight against Gunnar Nelson. And I mean, again, you know, like Gunnar Nelson's not a big welterweight, but Ponzinibbio didn't look any bigger than him necessarily. He looked quick. He's quick off the mark. But yeah, against the Leech, I just don't think he's a particularly big welterweight, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think the downside to him being a small welterweight in this one is that I think he's shorter than Robbie Lawler, and I think he stands with a longer stance, which means that when he's punching up, and that is no good for a Philly shell.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? Like you watch the way that James Toney uses that lead shoulder. Like, what you don't want is someone coming over the top, because it's so difficult to roll shots that are coming over the top. Whereas if they're coming up, it's much easier to glance them off that lead shoulder. So I think stylistically, this is a challenging matchup for Ponzinibbio, based on the fact that he is shorter and does punch up. And I think it suits Robbie Lawler, the Philly shell style, against Ponzinibbio's style of boxing. Southpaw v orthodox as well. Like, Ponzinibbio throws his left hook really wide, and Robbie Lawler's going to be rolling that off his lead shoulder.
Yeah.
The only way I can see Robbie Lawler leaving himself vulnerable is if he does what he did against Barberena and doesn't respect the fact that Ponzinibbio's got power to hurt him. That makes sense.
He just didn't look that bothered.
He didn't look at all bothered, and I don't know as he will be against Ponzinibbio either. Yeah,
that's my point. And like with Nick Diaz, I can see how he got excited for that fight, and now I don't feel like.
Yeah, he was excited to the point when he realized that Nick didn't want to be there.
Yeah. Then he was,
it was uncomfortable to watch.
But yeah, I think just based on all that, I'm gonna go for Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, I talked about this a bit in the war room. It's like Lawler was one of those fighters, like Vanderlei Silva, that like he left a mark on my subconscious when I first watched him fight. And whenever I see Robbie Lawler's name, I always get that feeling of that, like, 21-year-old absolute savage. Yeah, that's
savage. The thing, though. 21-year-old, like, how many wars has he been in?
A lot.
So that has been, like, taken out of you. Nobody has that much anger to be able to fight like that for so long.
That's my concern, is that's like, I'm leaning slightly towards Robbie Lawler based on the vast amount of Robbie Lawler fights that I've seen, where like you
did with Rua, and you were like pointing up there. Yeah, let me bring that up right now. You were like, oh, Rua, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's not the same Rua that was fighting in Pride.
No. I think Ponzinibbio beats him. But the fact that you've chosen Ponzinibbio makes it easier for me to pick Lawler, so that's what I'm going to do. So there's my pick. I'm hopeful in this pick because I'm a big fan of Robbie Lawler.
All right.
And
I did like 4 times more research in this podcast, by the way, guys, because I just got so mad that I got bad picks. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my not sleeping for 3 weeks ways. I'm going to win.
And regarding Ponzinibbio against Canelo.
Yeah, I think Canelo would win in a fight.
I think Canelo would.
Fight.
Yeah, I think Canelo would beat him in a fight.
Like, in a fight, I don't think many people would be. And people just think, "Oh, I'll just take you down and stuff." You think it's just like people are what, like made out of?
I'd love to see Canelo fight MMA.
Thing.
I would love to see Canelo fight MMA. I don't think it would take long for him to get his takedown offense up, especially like the way he stands. He's just so like...
Yeah, he doesn't stand all like flimsy looking.
Imagine people get in on a double leg and he's like not even defending it. They're just trying to lift it. And he's like, come on, man. Lift me. Lift me in my silk pajamas. What are you going to do? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be calling out Canelo to fight.
That was a weird situation, wasn't it? Canelo overreacting to a photograph that he saw, calling out Messi. I tell you what was very cool. Did you hear the audio recording from Argentina when Messi scored?
No.
There was a bunch of videos that went up the day after Argentina won. And it was like people videoing out of their windows of their apartments across like cities in Argentina, silent, no cars on. You see them, yeah, no cars on the street, nothing. Then all of a sudden you hear, and then and the whole city is like cheering.
Oh,
it's crazy.
That's amazing.
It's like the sound of like a sports arena.
Yeah.
But it's just everyone in their apartments and houses watching.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool.
If you speak Spanish, just YouTube Argentinian people watching football. It is the funniest. Like, oh my goodness, how mean they are if you don't score.
I watched the thing the other day of a dad who was he had like a football pitch, like mat on the table. And his son was blind, and he was like playing the game for him as it was happening,
cool.
so he could. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Really cool. Anyway, you're going Ponzinibbio.
Yes.
I'm going Lawler. I'm going to hopeful Lawler.
Come on, Argentina.
I'm going to hopeful Lawler. I want to see smoke coming off his gloves as he scores the knockout, and smoke still coming off the gloves as he takes the tape off and lays them in the octagon and retires.
Okay.
Because
just did it for Canelo.
It's just getting to that point where we're going to see he's looking more and more like Mr. Herbert off Family Guy each time he gets out there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's looking like less physical and less powerful and less able to take these big shots. So
why are you going for Robbie then?
Because it's Robbie Lawler. That's why. It's ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, it's 2022. He's not fighting the same as how you're remembering it, though.
Don't matter. Ponzinibbio is not the same fighter that he was before his illnesses either.
No, yeah, but he's still like doing good.
Yeah, he's still doing good.
Against good opposition and split decision loss. It's not like it's, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you that the logic would suggest that Santiago Ponzinibbio would win.
Okay, you just want to be difficult. All right, co-main event.
I'm not being difficult. Robbie Lawler is 2 months older than me. How about that? So he's still a very young man. Okay, co-main event.
Yeah.
Co-main event. Paddy Pimblett against Jared Gordon. So, 19-3 for Paddy Pimblett, 19-5 for Jared Gordon. Hang on a minute, let me get the stats up. I think there's a height and reach advantage for Paddy. Yes, there is. So, 5'10" for Paddy. So he's got a 1-inch height advantage, but he's got a 5-inch reach advantage over Jared Gordon. I mean, the rest of the stats are kind of a wash because of how long Gordon's been in the UFC compared to Paddy. They're not going to tell us the full story. High submission output for Paddy, of course, though, based on his Cage Warriors career as well. I mean, you know, generally his fights follow a similar path of he's patient, he's waiting, waiting. Catch him in the face with a slapping, turning kick or a flying knee, and then it's on. And then he scrambles and goes until he gets their back, and then usually he's getting the finish from there. Honestly, I think this is a fight for Paddy to win. I think it's a fight for Paddy. I saw Bisping saying that he thinks Paddy's underestimating Jared Gordon, but I even think even if he underestimates him, like Jared Gordon is not a finisher.
I feel like Jared Gordon is a little bit like Paul Felder. like just like a tough dude that keeps continuing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you hit him and he just continues.
Yeah.
And
but Paul Felder can hurt you.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
I just
Jared
meant
Gordon
more like
don't
the
hurt anybody.
durability of it.
Like, yeah, for sure durable.
Yeah.
But I don't know as that's helpful in this fight against Paddy unless he's able to actually physically do something to him as well. Like, you go back to the one stoppage win on Jared Gordon's record. It was his UFC debut, and he hit the kid hundreds of times. The kid was gassed, rolling from one position to the next, and Gordon was even looking at the referee like, I can
how
keep
many
hitting
times
him,
am I
but
gonna hit him?
yeah. Like, for me, Paddy's got a ferocity and a confidence right now that he's going to be way too much for Gordon in the first round.
Yeah.
Even if he comes in supremely confident, it's only gonna help him do the things that he's already good at doing because he's got a massively confidence-based game anyway.
Yeah, like some fighters, I feel like the super confidence helps them.
Yeah.
Helps them perform even better. Others, it like makes them overlook their opponent and not perform as well. So I feel like that confidence, it's very much depending on who's holding it.
For sure. It's the next generation team though. Like, when they show up to an event and there's like 4 or 5 of them on the card,
all of them,
they all win, and they're all
yeah.
expected to win as well because that's the way that they operate. It's they've got a good vibe up there. They've got a lot of people on the mat. They're kicking out talent constantly, and Paddy's like although of course we've got Molly who's been in the UFC a little bit longer. Paddy's kind of like the figurehead of that team, isn't he? As far as their style as well.
Yeah, but I think it was just because like Molly got signed first, but Paddy had been like, I'd known of Paddy for a really long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
he's more synonymous with the next generation style as well, as opposed to the way that Molly fights. I think this is a good fight for Paddy, honestly. I think he comes out, I think he stabs Jared Gordon in the midsection with his teep. And I think that starts to frustrate Gordon. He feels like he's too far away. He tries to cover distance, and Paddy then gets on one of them wild. I could even see Paddy catching him with that flying knee. Like, he used it in his last fight in the Cage Warriors to close distance. He used it against Vendramini.
He has really great for like jumping attacks.
Yeah.
And if he's against the fence, he can like jump into it. But it looks a lot more chaotic than it is because he has thought about it and thought about, oh, from this position I can do this and I can get that.
Yeah.
And with Jared Gordon, what I realized when he fought Grant Dawson and Oliveira is that you can catch him coming in with center line shots. And then with Dawson, he gave up his back in order to get up. And Paddy's so good at getting the back and submitting you from there that he can really take advantage of that if it does happen.
The risk though is, so of course, so Jared Gordon did get subbed by Grant Dawson, but it was a few attempts of Grant Dawson being on his back trying to get the rear naked choke before he actually got it.
Yes.
Like, he was able to defend a few times.
Yeah.
Leo Santos was on his back and couldn't finish the rear naked choke as well. And the fight that sticks in my mind is when Paddy fought Soren Bak, and he had a fully sunken rear naked choke in the first round and squeezed the life out of it and didn't finish it. And then Soren Bak starts to work his way back into the fight. Like, if anything, is a test of Paddy's decision making. Because was it Decky Dalton on Cage Warriors? So he scrambled to his back, was on his back for about 90 seconds, didn't finish, so then got to top position, finished ground and pound. That's the kind of decision making he needs here. Because if he's on Gordon's back and he's close with the rear naked choke, you might spend too much energy trying to finish it, and then you've got Gordon, spinning into his closed guard at the end of the first round or at the second round and working ground and pound. Maybe steals the round. Paddy gets a bit frustrated, a bit tired. Then Gordon's able to stuff a couple of takedowns and start landing some shots on the feet. And because Paddy's a bit wild with his head movement, he might accentuate the power of Gordon's punches. Because Gordon just, like, he looks like he hits people and nothing happens.
Yeah.
They just don't seem fazed by it. So if Paddy's standing still and Gordon hits him, I don't think it's going to bother him as much. If Paddy's flying at Gordon and Gordon hits him, I think Paddy might feel that a lot more.
Yeah. But I feel like Paddy does, although it looks chaotic and part of it is, I feel like there's a lot of pockets of brilliance in his decision making.
Yeah.
Like when he fought Jordan
Jordan Levitt.
Yeah, Jordan Levitt transitioned to that Darce type of attack so he can like lift it, switched his knee so he can knee him in the head, and then trapped his arm as he went around. Like that was wow. That was just I just see sometimes I see I'm like, oh yeah, he does this, and sometimes I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
And that was a damn moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was so impressed with that finish. It was incredible.
I'm going Paddy.
Yeah, I'm going Paddy too.
What round? I'm gonna go early second. I think he's gonna TKO him early second. I think he's gonna nearly sub him in the first round, and Gordon's gonna. I
think like late second, maybe.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, late second or early third. Yeah. Can't wait. Oh, I can't see Paddy without Paddy the bad. Yeah, and that. and then I'm just trying. When I see him now, I can't stop doing the Paddy the baddie for like hours, and I'm just like, no, we're starting again.
Yeah.
Okay, Paddy and the main event.
Jan Błachowicz against Magomed Ankalaev.
Didn't even know he was fighting for the title until he got off the plane.
Didn't even know. Went from 3 rounds further down the card. Now he's fighting, trying to get his old belt back, and he doesn't even have to fight Glover Teixeira to do it. Deal.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
But Magomed is.
Yeah, no, he is very good. He is very good. See, when I first saw this, I was like, oh no, that's a rough matchup for Jan. That's a really tough matchup. But the more I've researched it, the more I think to myself, you know what, Jan might be able to do this based on experience. Like there are certain things that Jan does really well that I think could be problematic for Ankalaev. Most of the time, Ankalaev's able to dominate the space between him and his opponent out of fear that there's something going to happen.
Yeah.
Like he's just outside of their range, always trying to get them to move into his range so he can counter.
Yeah.
Jan's going to move into his range. Like there's not going to be a play there where Ankalaev is like, come on, Jan, run onto this. Jan's going to be like,
Polish power,
exactly,
what's up?
Exactly. Like I think about when he fought Dom Reyes, and he's got a lot of experience against southpaws as well. You know what I mean? He does well against southpaws, hurting southpaws. Like that body kicks against Dom Reyes was right hand to left body kick, which means he's sweeping Magomed around the fence in a direction which is not going to be comfortable for him. Ankalaev wants to be in front of him, pushing him up against the fence where he can start to pick at him. And then, if he needs to, he can level change up against the fence. But I feel like Jan's grappling is going to be plenty strong enough in this fight as well for Ankalaev not to really want to grapple with him.
Yeah, but I feel like Jan sometimes gets taken down a little bit easily when they go like for his legs and he doesn't get back up. You know, it's not like a scramble to get back up, and he can spend time on the ground. Not like he has these attacks that he can go to, and it's not like he's doing bad on the ground, if that makes sense. He's just
losing the round.
Yeah, losing the ground, like comfortable being there, and that's
like the Gustafsson fight.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like he's just a little bit, or when he fought Rakic.
Yes.
You know, he secured a rubber guard, went to attack a triangle, didn't get it, and then spend the rest of the time just there in the guard. And I didn't really see an urgency to get back up. And Ankalaev doesn't care about not making it entertaining. He'll feint and be on the outside and land a few shots and like instill that presence, fear in you. Maybe do some takedowns and just, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like as long as Jan's not standing around on the outside of Ankalaev's range being kicked, I feel like he's going to be able to get to him. I feel like the confidence of Jan, like you know, you think like, so when he fought Izzy was wanting to fight at range and to kick at Jan, and Jan's kicking defense was really good in that one. He makes me nervous. He kind of pulls away a little bit sometimes, but nothing was getting through. Yeah. Like Ankalaev's good at putting his kick on the end of his punches. Like was it Prachniau, his first fight in the UFC? Marcin Prachniau, I think it was. And he nailed him with that head kick. Yes, Marcin Prachnio. Nailed him with a head kick after hitting him with a couple of shots. So as Prachnio was coming in with that straight right, Ankalaev just dips to the side and catches him with a counter right hook. Steps out, little Leon Edwards bump with his feet, and then follows him with 2 uppercuts and a head kick.
Yeah.
Like, they're the kind of exchanges where Jan needs to be careful. Like, you remember when he fought Thiago Santos, and it was a really kind of patient 10 minutes, and all of a sudden Jan was like, oh, let's get the fight started, and goes running on to one of Santos's shots. That's the kind of risk I can see him having here.
Yeah.
But
maybe with like the last of his 6 fights being main events, and that him getting, that 5-round kind of installed into his system a bit more can help him out. But for me, the biggest thing that I fear is that Ankalaev will take him down and kind of keep him there, because he is really intelligent with his top pressure, and he will be able to land strikes and like kind of keep him there. And unless Jan now in this fight has an urgency to, boy, it's 5 rounds. I mean, he can lose like 2 just being on the ground, and that's fine. But he doesn't want to end up doing what he did against Glover and then give up his back and get subbed by it.
Yeah, but I don't know as Ankalaev's a good that level of a grappler.
Yeah,
like I feel like he is going to be able to take Jan down, but I don't feel like I don't equate the same level of grappling to him as I do to some of the other Russian fighters, because you look at a lot of the fighters and you go, oh well, he's a good striker, but he's also got he's at international master of sports in combat sambo and amateur MMA, but then he's got no subs on his record.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? He like predominantly wants to strike. The one loss on his record, he's getting triangled by Paul Craig. Like, I kind of feel like Jan's. We can't assume that he's going to be a better grappler than Jan, because a lot of the Russian fighters with sambo are good.
No, but I'm
grapplers.
not saying he's going to be a better.
You're talking about Jan not being proactive about getting up.
Exactly.
Then
and then
this
him
is 5
getting
rounds,
punched and then giving up a bad position. Not because Ankalaev did some magical stuff to get to the back and then like a sick transition for it. Just the punches open up that opportunity for him to, I'm not saying like sink in a rear naked choke or whatever, but get a dominant position to where he can strike better and more impactful, because he has a lot of power.
Yeah.
As does Błachowicz, but then
if which one of these 2 fighters had the concern in the back of their mind that, oh, this is 25 minutes now instead of 15? Because Jan's,
I don't think Jan does.
Jan's been 5 rounds 6 times.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
not including his championship rounds finishes. Ankalaev's never done the distance over 5.
Yeah.
Like that's the other thing as well. Yeah, he might win the first 2, and he might think to himself at the end of the second round, this is pretty easy. Jan's not really putting up much of an offense. And what we learned from Jan in the Izzy fight is that he's very good at sticking to a game plan for 2 to 3 rounds and then switching it up and doing something different. It makes the difference in the fight. I feel like Jan's smart enough to be able to solve this problem.
Yeah, I want Jan to win.
Like Kutalaba nearly got him if the referee had not got involved too quickly. Like he almost got him. He got that excitement out of Ankalaev that he was trying to get. Like there is still a level of amateurishness in his game sometimes. Ankalaev, like that getting caught by Paul Craig, and it's not only getting caught by him, but it's the speed he tapped at.
Yeah,
do you know what I
mean?
mean? Like that, like straight away to me that. Like I watched him against Dalcha Lungiambula, and I thought to myself, this guy's terrifying. He's really, really a dangerous individual. But then you go back and you think about that first fight against Paul Craig. It's his UFC debut. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, but I think he's settled down from that now. That
yeah,
happened.
maybe.
Like, for example, Islam Makhachev had that knockout loss, and he just grew so much from it. From that was almost like nullified
for
type
sure.
of thing.
But there's no decision making in. There's no decision to lose by knockout. And that makes no sense. Let me explain it to you a bit better.
No, I understand. Like you
like he chose to tap at 4 minutes 59 seconds of the third round, having dominated that whole time.
Yeah.
Now you can get in a like how often do you see someone get caught in a triangle and they tough it out and they're like trying to fight out and stuff. Like he just didn't fight it.
When I saw that, I was like, I wonder what it would be like to get triangle by Paul Craig. Like,
it must have been incredibly quick. It must have been incredibly tight very quickly. But then the same thing again though. Like Magomed Ankalaev then walked back to his corner team, and they would barely look at him.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like they would barely look at him, and he was like leaning on the cage. He was like, "What? Why did I do that? Like, what happened then?" And I don't see that reaction to tap out of a lot of fighters. But when I do see it, I see it consistently in their game from start to finish. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's a point where Magomed Ankalaev goes, "Oh no, I'm out."
Yeah, but he knows he fought his way back to people, like looking at him again.
For
so
sure.
It's like, okay, you have another chance to represent your country before we like kick you out.
Yeah.
Forever. So I don't think he's going to do that again. Just in the back of his mind, he's going to be like, oh, I remember how much shit I got last time. There's no way I'm just going to go out. So I don't think that's going to happen again.
But I would say the same thing about Anthony Smith. And it happened again against Ankalaev. Like, there's a point sometimes where fighters, it doesn't matter what's going on outside the cage, where they've just had enough of being in there.
Yeah, but Anthony Smith was going, like, on a downward trajectory. We're talking about he's on a 9-fight win streak and going up. So
right, and he was on an 8-fight. He was on a 9-fight win streak when he went in there against Paul Craig, and he'd won the majority of the fight. He dominated the majority of the fight. Then he got slapped on a triangle in the last 10 seconds, and he tapped before making an effort to fight out of it.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
It was weird. It's worth noting because it takes a decision. And I can put myself in the position of all the submissions that I've been in fights when I'm like, am I going to tap here? I feel like I'm going to tap here. And I have tapped before in fights. Mm. I've tapped, intentionally tapped, because I was caught in my very first pro fight, caught in a rear naked choke, 4 minutes, 59 seconds. Like, I'd given everything there. I'd tried to fight out of that choke. There was nothing I could do about it. I was gassed. I tapped out. I made that decision, and it haunted me for years. Like that, hang on a minute, you chose to give up then. Just go sleep, motherfucker. Right? And then the GSP fight, obviously, where people are familiar with me getting my arms twisted and stuff. Then there's the Chris Lytle fight, where I'm still annoyed that I got guillotined in that fight, but I have no recollection of tapping. And if you put me in that situation again in that fight, I would not choose to tap again. I didn't choose to tap that night. I tapped out a reaction. And that can sometimes be it as well. Like, you might have tapped out a reaction.
Yeah.
But that fight with me and Chris Lytle was quite back and forth, and I was starting to run out of gas a little bit, and I shot in and took him down, and then he wrapped me up in a really beautiful guillotine. He was dominating from the top position when he got caught in that triangle. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I'll just
leave it as a Paul Craig exception, because he triangles everybody, so I'm not going to count it that much. That's like getting rear naked choked by Damian Maia type of thing.
Or getting Von Flue choked by Yushin Okami.
Yeah.
Point still stands. The point still stands.
Listen, stop confusing me. I want Jan to win because he is a really nice guy. We fought on the same card sometimes, and he's always been very, very big and intimidating, but nice, It's just
Jan's
me
a lovely guy.
being intimidated because he's ginormous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he could just punch me and I die. But yeah, I really hope he wins. I really hope he gets his belt back, and
I think Jan's going to do it. I think Jan's going to do it. I do.
You do?
I do. But I think he's going to do it, not out of any
of the... And this has been like crazy belt changes from what's supposed to happen. Like what happened with Leon Edwards and Izzy. So this has been a crazy year. I don't know what to think anymore.
I feel like Magomed Ankalaev will be the champion, but I feel like Jan's going to be able to better him this time around. I could see him losing rounds. I could see him getting taken down. But I can see Jan. I can see Jan using his wisdom and experience to put Ankalaev in positions that make him uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Whether that's positions on the feet that are uncomfortable, like Ankalaev, having to work off the back foot because Jan's pushing him forward, pushing him back, and attacking him with body kicks. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing as well is Jan's counter left hook's really good, and that's a good weapon to compare to Ankalaev's counter right hook.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Ankalaev.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why? What's changed it?
No, nothing changed it. You just almost convinced me to go to Jan. But I'm thinking, am I doing it because I really like Jan, or am I doing it because of the Picks podcast? Like if Jan was in front of me, I would never say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like that with every fighter.
Yeah. But if Ankalaev was sitting in front of you, you probably wouldn't tell him he was going to lose either. Because he's legitimately a scary dude.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't put myself in that position. Dude. Like, I could see me talking to Jan.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I'd be like, run away.
Yeah, he's a scary dude.
All right, who are you picking? You think Jan's going to do it?
I think Jan's going to do it. I think Jan's going to do it and get his belt back. Wisdom and experience. I think Jan's going to be able to put him in positions on the floor that are going to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think Ankalaev, due to Jan not having enough urgency to get back up.
Okay. What decision then?
Yeah, probably decision. Yeah,
okay.
Probably decision.
Okay. No, I think arm triangle. I'll go arm triangle for Jan. Okay. Similar to what he did against Krylov. Yeah, that was an arm triangle, was it? It was kind of like a weird kind of falling off the side rear naked choke, and then I think he finished it with an arm triangle. Yeah, arm triangle second round. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, I'm going with Jan.
Come on, Polish power. I will lose my pick for you.
Yeah. Do you see his little boy weight cutting with him, wrapped in towels?
No, I didn't.
It's a great photo. Cool. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope all those picks have made sense and that you've disagreed with us on some, but some of them have rung true with the ones that you were picking as well. Quick shout out to our sponsors before we leave it there. NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/outlawed. If you use the code OUTLAW at checkout, you will get an awesome discount. You'll get a month free. You'll get a free gift. 30-day money-back guarantee as well. So get on it and try NordVPN. VPN, you will be impressed with them. That is the best VPN network that I have used by a long way. And our friends at AG1 Athletic Greens, get your base levels in your diet covered. Make sure you're getting your vitamin D and your K2 as well. This is essential, especially for this time of year. If you're in a wintry wonderland like we are. And of course, with this AG1, you covered 75 vitamins and minerals, all whole food sourced ingredients, very, very good quality stuff, nice and clean. It will make your brain work better. It will improve your sleep. And probiotics as well, which is something that I still feel like we're all, as a species, coming to understand the value of probiotics. Make sure you get yourself covered with some AG1. athleticgreens.com/outlawed. Let me just make sure that's right.
Yeah, I did. I checked it.
Is it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you get there we go. You get your 1 year's free supply of vitamin D and K2. You'll get 5 free travel packs, which are very useful if you're on the road. It's going to make a big difference to your health and your well-being for 2023 onwards. Awesome. Enjoy the fights. Have a great Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
And
I'll miss you.
Yeah, right. Well, you'll see me for one more War Room. We've got Strickland Cannoneer for next week, but after that, we'll be having a little break. And we've got loads of things planned for the channel. So be tuning in the new year. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching us. Like and subscribe as always. Check out Full Reptile as well. We've got some new products on there for you to check out. Christmas sales, etc. All right. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks.